Welcome back to the Iron Sights podcast. We're out here in Las Vegas, SHOT Show 26. I'm here with Chris Kuras from Good Dude Concepts and Company. I'm so stoked to be here. This is kind of surreal, kind of being in the room with these dudes. Chris, I'm going to just hand it over to you and let you introduce them, and we'll get this thing started.
We'll go around the room. We've got Jon Dufresne, owner of Connecticut Consulting, law enforcement, military, and civilian training. He's also one of the owners of See the Night, a night vision company as well. Retired Army vet, Ranger, if I'm not mistaken. Then we got Blake Cook, also an Army vet, 82nd Airborne, retired police officer, SWAT, and some special units and TAC units involved in there as well. And then your resume is really long, but I'll keep it brief.
It's really old.
Bruno Fallon. He's currently the VP of Born Primitive, but before that, Army vet, Ranger, SF, 160th, and then training director at Development Group. And then we've got Jack Lewis, a Navy vet, also active duty law enforcement, full-time SWAT guy in Louisiana. And then myself, I'm just a SWAT guy and owner of Good Dude Concepts.
You're just a dude.
Just a dude. A large dude.
Yeah. Just a good dude.
I'm trying to be.
Well, we got a bunch of good dudes in here. We'll talk a little bit about that and kind of how this all came together here in a little bit. But it's SHOT Show 2026, and it's a big deal, and I know it is for everybody in this room for various reasons. And I'm curious just to find out what some of those reasons are. So I'm going to send it over to you, Jon. Like, why do you come to this thing? I'm sure you've been here 100 times at this point. Like, what's important for you? What are you here to see? What are you looking at? What's fun? What isn't fun? Tell me.
Cool. So I don't think 100 times, but it's probably like 10th maybe at this point, something around there. I come here mainly for my friends, right? It seems weird because it's like way past like not a business thing for me, where a lot of people, this is a business event and stuff. I don't do business here really. I do like maybe a little bit of networking if you call that business, but mainly it's hang out with my friends, supporting my friends, being able to see everybody, and also just mainly just to have a little bit of fun, like while I'm here with everybody, because I don't drink or gamble or anything like that. So Vegas is pretty useless for me otherwise. But I think SHOT Show to me is like one of those things. I get to see new shit, which is always cool, but mainly it's the bros.
Yeah, man. I feel the same way about it because I don't have anything to sell or and I'm not a buyer for any companies or whatever, but this is a place I've been able to come and sit in rooms like this with some really great people, make some really good friendships. A lot of, what Iron Sights does now happened the first year at SHOT Show for me because of some connections that were made. Jon, you were one of the first people that was on the show on my first trip out, thanks to Chris, and so that's how this stuff happens. And so, but you were out here for a couple of days even prior doing some training and whatever. Talk about that.
So I got here on Wednesday. So today is Monday? So got here Wednesday last week. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, I was teaching at an event called Night Ops Summit. It's hosted by Green Line Tactical. It's all night vision based training. So I was teaching a night vision performance pistol class, shooting way too much, and my hands feel like hamburger meat right now. But it's a blast, awesome event. But you don't finish until like 2 something in the morning sometimes, and then you wake up the next day and do it all over again. But it's worth it to me because it's just a grand old time. Night vision's a big part of my world. I also, because of the night vision company, See the Night, I get to dabble in selling it, building it, and then promoting it in different ways, and then also teaching it, which I've been doing for, I'm at 12 years doing that now. So it's a blast. I thoroughly enjoy it. So that was what I did this weekend. To include one of the mornings, I went out to a scoped carbine match at Sin City Precision as well.
So you managed to squeeze that in too.
Yeah. So I've been busy and I'm tired already before the show.
No. I think it's still Monday, by the way.
It is still Monday.
Just to check in. Monday. Right on. Let's turn it over to you, Blake. What brings you here, man? What are you here to see?
Man, I like gear, but it's really the guys. You spend 364 days a year, seeing what everybody's doing on social media, communicating on social media, and support each other on social media, but to come in person and support these dudes in person, shake hands, give hugs, talk face to face, I think is huge. And then a lot of it is like people who support me on my page, maybe people who aren't owning companies or anything like that. People who just follow me and they follow my journey since the beginning, and they've seen my ups and downs. They've seen me down in the bottom to where I'm burning, and then they support me all the way to the top. And to be able to see those guys in person, and honestly, a lot of them just they've seen me grow so much in my faith, and they asked for me to pray with them in person. So just to be able to share fellowship with people that I've never even met in person, I think is huge. And sure, we can use this event, and I know a lot of people come here to party and gamble and do those sort of things, but for me, it's how can I help make one solid impact in some dude's life who maybe this is how I look at it, but maybe this is like their last hurrah. I'm gonna go to SHOT Show one time, and then maybe I'm gonna go home and take my life. How can I make that one impact to keep them here for a little longer? So anybody that says hey to me or whatever, the first thing I do is just try to give them a hug and say nice to meet you. That's what I love about SHOT Show is it just gives us people a place to gather and just meet each other.
Man, that hits home. It hits home big time, and I think that can easily be forgotten. People see you and see all you guys and the different things that you do, and you've all been hugely influential for me, right? And again, I'm just a dude, but at the same time, like making those connections, actually getting a handshake with that person that you've been following and looking up to and taking advice from, and maybe getting training from at some level online or elsewhere, or have had training, and we'll get into the training piece, or had somebody influence you that was influenced by you guys, somewhere along the line. I think that's super important. I think it gets lost. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think it's very important for businesses to do that too. To be here, to shake hands with the people that are putting food on their table and buying their products and stuff.
And between the years of like 2000 to 2020 or 2023, there were some companies and some individuals who became, a lot of popularity, and that was back, I'd left law enforcement. I had no purpose. I moved to the beach. I just was drinking all the time. I was living that beach lifestyle, and I saw these guys, and, a lot of them, some people brought me out of my darkness, and I've seen some of them in person years ago, and man, I couldn't even like get 2 seconds of their time just to say thank you. And I just remember like that feeling for me, and like for me, I'm just like, dude, it's crazy because I'm just like, I feel like I'm just a normal dude. I've done nothing super special. I'm just me. I'm just a 36-year-old dude who loves Chipotle. That's it. That's just me. And these guys come up to me, they're like, "Are you Blake Cook?" And I'm just like, "Hey man, yeah, I'm just me. I don't know how you view me through your eyes, but like, I'm going to make sure that I shake your hand. I'm going to make sure that I tell you that God loves you, and I'm going to make sure I give you a hug. And you're going to feel like, hey man, I know that dude. That dude's my friend." And it can get overwhelming. It really can. But anybody that I have interaction with, I want them to walk away being like, all right, I'm friends with that guy. Yeah. Because there were a couple dudes who didn't give me that opportunity, and I could have said, what, F this industry, I'm done. But I didn't. I ended up linking up with people like Bruno, and it brought me back into the industry. But man, like anybody that hears this, like if anybody that follows you on social media approaches you, man, just take time out of your day, because you might have said something, or you might have posted something in a moment where they were about to take their life, and you might have saved their life, and they're never going to tell you that. But they're going to come up to you and just say, "Hey man, I've been following you for a little while. We're dudes. We're going to act hard, right? But, shake that dude's hand, man. Give that dude a hug and say, hey, man, it's glad to meet you. Awesome. Honor to meet you."
Yeah, I mean, again, that hits home, and I think it's easily forgotten. And one of the questions that I get quite frequently, when I see people out and they approach me, is they ask me about guys like you, that I've had the opportunity to sit down in the room, with and talk to, and they're like, "Look, man, I got to ask, is that guy the same guy in person that he is online," kind of thing? And I have to be honest with maybe one or two very rare exceptions.
Yeah.
And this has just been because I've been very discerning about who I host on the show and the reasons why we bring them on the show. I've been able to honestly, and truthfully say, yeah, man, but it's even better in person, and hopefully you get that opportunity.
That's
sometime.
awesome.
So, I mean, that super hits home. So speaking of that, I mean, you mentioned them already. There's a little bromance happening on the couch here between you and your partner. We had to separate them. There was a pillow there for a minute, but I feel like these guys can handle themselves. But Bruno, man, you come to the show, you've got a business that's been quickly rising. I've been watching it. I'm super impressed by it and stoked for you guys. But, I mean, outside of that, man, what's going on here at the show for you?
Well, hey, first of all, thanks for having us on. As a fellow podcaster, it's always cool to get people to come to your podcast that you want to talk to and host. I've had Chris on, I've had Blake on, and I feel at the end of a podcast, I know them better than I did before because it just segues into conversations you might never have. So, fan of the podcast, and I appreciate it. I come to SHOT for multiple reasons. We are only 2 years into development of both our tactical and our outdoor hunting line, and I'm the VP of both. So we're here for traditional business development. But that's why I bring my crew and I have a booth. That's not why I'm here. First of all, 40 years in the soft community, it's a reunion for me. I think what Jon said nails it. Like, I come here to see guys I haven't seen forever. And the crazy part is that the way the industry is, the guys you know from the battlefield and you respect, if they're working with a business, that almost vets the business for me. And I'm the guy that does business development and partner development, and I believe in it firmly. As an apparel brand, I'm wearing a Sons of Liberty Guns shirt right now. I just wear the clothes. So when I'm going out and I'm doing content with real operators, I need night vision goggles, I need a helmet, I need a gun, I need a suppressor, I need all the stuff that goes with it. So I have decided that the only thing I'm going to do is maintain with premium brands that match our brand. And what I found out by doing that, you elevate your brand because now when people are seeing Sons of Liberty, they're seeing Born Primitive and they're seeing Huxford suppressors and they're seeing Good Dude concepts. So it's kind of a unique situation for me. As where I come, I set the booth up. The guy that's running the booth for me is a SWAT sergeant that's a rock star. I mean, I don't need to do anything but pop in for my mandatory meetings. I'm here to do business development. My other thing that I'm also here for is I really come out here just to crush him in the gym. Like, I just take him every day through a workout to where I know he can't walk. Matter of fact, we were out here in Vegas about 2 months ago for the Staccato SWAT competition, and I wanted to see if these little tiny legs could actually stick with me. So I put him through a leg workout at the Lions Den there, whatever it is, the big bodybuilding workout here in Vegas. And he did pretty good.
Did he cry?
I think him and Rachel, our female ambassador, Secret Service.
I know Rachel. She's coming on the show later this week.
I think him and Rachel were probably lifting the same weight.
Rachel's lifting more than me, dude.
I think that's okay, Blake. She's a beast.
Rachel's a freaking beast.
Savage,
she's amazing. But the cool part about it was he hung, and then he couldn't walk for 3 days. But I kind of enjoyed that part of it too.
Are we gonna cut this section out?
That's what wheelchairs are for.
There's no edits here.
Yeah. But hey, really, to your point, I think for me as a person above the brand, it's a reunion. I love what Jon said as far as seeing my bros and seeing people. I like seeing what new tech is out there too. Like, I asked him when I heard you were going to be here, I'm like, hey, do they make quad tubes? I need a quad tube partner. Like, this is an opportunity for me to get with somebody that I can help his brand while I continue to build my brand. And that's what we're all about right now. If I were to follow the models of the other apparel brands, it's actually pretty bad. They're being bought out in private equity. They're not allowed to have guns in their advertising. Yep. And we're jumping out of airplanes at 25,000 feet and rocking guns. It's just a different atmosphere. So
there's a lot of lessons in what you just said there. I hope people are listening to this, particularly the consumer, because as that guy who sits on the consumer end of this, and I do that in a different way as a basic, average Joe civilian guy, what's become very important to me, and it happened very quickly because I saw what you just said happening, and I also on both ends, both who's behind these products, like who owns these companies, to find out that there's a lot of banks and hedge funds that own these companies, and they're actually not very Pro 2A, right? And the flip side of that being the relationships that are being built and how people stick together. That's the only reason the Iron Sights podcast exists, is because I've been invited into circles and made friends and navigated around things that I maybe saw happening or didn't see happening and was able to avoid it. And so again, going back to the consumer piece, knowing who you get your stuff from, I think is really important. And what you just described is who I want to be getting my stuff from. Who are the other good dudes that these guys are working with and how they're representing one another? I think that's one thing. The other thing about that, just in terms of building it up and how fast, again, you said it's 2 years in the making. I've watched that thing take off like wildfire. And it was really interesting to see. I actually ran into you guys. I knew about you guys ahead, but I ran into you guys at the TTPOA conference 2 years ago. It was a little booth. I think you were sharing it with somebody else, right? There was just a table. We're handing out some t-shirts and you're putting things together. And then last year I went, you guys was probably one of the busiest booths there, right? Everybody was coming over to see you guys. Everybody's wearing your stuff. And that says something. And those other good dudes wearing your stuff and they're talking about it and they're proud to wear it. And there's a story behind it. And I think that's what people are looking for, is they want to know who they're getting their stuff from and like, what is that story? Who is the dude behind the stuff? The big corporate stuff. Look, there's nothing wrong with corporate business, right? At the same time, there's a lot of things they could be doing better or do very wrong. And I think the consumer can easily get caught up with, the flash and whatever else, and they wind up in a situation where they have to ask themselves questions later about, why did I get this? And maybe I made a mistake.
No, you're spot on. And the best example I can give, so we're actually releasing these boots right here at SHOT. It's called the Patriot One. Every other shoe manufacturing company in the world, once it passes spec and the machines do the rub test on it, and everybody's like, yes, the size measurement is good, they get put out to market. We took another 9 months. I jumped these things in Normandy. We swam them in the Atlantic Ocean. We leased the Blackhawk. How many fast ropes did we do out of that Blackhawk to check the fast rope pad? I made
like 50 that day.
I made Vibram do 7 renditions of the sole to make it quieter for CQB, so they didn't hear the whole force coming down a tiled hallway. But it took me 22 months to deliver these, and other brands, as soon as it would fit spec, they'd go to market with it. And my point being here, not hyping the boot, hyping the process, is that we will not run our shtick of by operators, for operators, of putting something out there that I won't put my name on. Mm-hmm. We just released a video last week on multicam. We were supposed to be releasing multicam at SHOT. US-made fabric. This is a 7-figure investment we had, made in USA. It failed 17 quality control checks.
That's got to be pretty frustrating.
It is, because I get the stuff made in Asia to perfection, and I went and spent triple the money to have it made in the USA, and 17 failures. And I looked at the owner and I said, I can't fucking put my name on this stuff. So we're eating it. We're eating a 7-figure investment, and we're bumping multicam release till the fall now because we're going back to the drawing board. But that's where this brand stands, is I will not put a product out there that has my name on it that is not to spec.
Yeah, I think that's, I think collectively, and that's probably what we're going to hear from Jack here in a second. But again, like when I got the opportunity, when Chris reached out and he's like, hey man, I want to do this thing with these guys. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And to your point, it's about a personal, and Blake, you touched on this too, it's about a personal responsibility to the people that support you, right? Yeah. Or they're buying your products. And there's a person behind that, not a boardroom,
That's right.
Now there may be a boardroom somewhere, right? But there's somebody in that boardroom that is in charge and in control and driving that boat, and will take personal responsibility. As a small business owner myself, as a dad, all those things, I think those things are important values. And I think people learn those lessons over time. Again, you probably could have very easily released that boot, right? You could have put it out there if you wanted to, right? And just said, you know what, we're just not going to say anything and we'll put it out there. But I think you probably know, which is why you didn't do it. No, number one, you got to wake up and look at yourself in the mirror the next day. And number two, that shit's coming back to you at some point, right? It's coming back. These things are falling apart. And then what did you do to your brand? But also, what did you do to the people, which is what you mentioned, that you brought in, and your partners, right? That you're either invested in for, again, the sun shirt that now you're going to make them look bad too. And I think that speaks volumes.
So I think the biggest thing is like, military units, a lot of the bigger units, they're going to get issued this, right? It's not coming out of their pocket. But I think them not pushing this stuff out and as much as time and all the little things that he wants done to perfection, I think what makes that so awesome is the cops that have to purchase this on their own.
Yep.
Right.
Bingo.
We have
I'm
to,
that guy.
Yeah.
100%.
Even me, like I had to purchase a lot of the gear that I had. And, especially two sets of boots. But the Under Armour boots came out, right? Those were the latest things for 4 months. And then the soles started coming apart. Solomon's, same thing, 8 months, boots is done. And it's just like, now I have to go back and I got to spend another $200 and some dollars. Brother, I'm only making $1,000 every 2 weeks. So like for them to be able to say, no, hold on, I'm going to put a product out there at a reasonable price that's going to last you. Mm-hmm. I think that's huge. And I think that's why so many people have attached themselves to Born Primitive is because it works. The color of the fabric stays the same. I don't have any rips. I couldn't tell you how many and I'll tell you, and we've talked about it. Like I love cry pants. Everybody did at one point. But like how many times did I blow the crotch out? I had to buy those. Those are $300 pair of pants.
Right.
And you call them up and they're like, oh, well, it's your fault. You shouldn't have squatted too low. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's $300. They should never fall apart. They should never change color. I shouldn't have blue pants in 6 months because I wear them operationally every day that turn purple. That's not my fault. I'm not LAPD. I have to buy these. So I think that's why so many people are like, stand behind Born Primitive. And even when they put the statement out on social media, it was huge because what it said is we know you want it and we want you to want it. We want you to have it, but we don't want you to buy a product that you're going to spend tons of money on that you're not going to look at and be like, this is it. You're going to be like, oh man, look at this and look at this. And then it's an issue. But man, they put their name and soul behind everything. And for the people the little guys who have to buy it, that means something.
Yeah. I'll just say one thing real quick on that. I'm not a other brand basher. I'll tell you, Cry got me through the war. We didn't have Born Primitive then, and I wore the fuck out of it. Mm-hmm. And it was the best thing going. The difference and the point I want to make on this is that, and this is a statement I've made multiple times, everything right now is human performance. And I know we're going to get to that on the podcast. Who out there has taken the time to develop a combat uniform for human performance? We're the only ones that have done it. So I honestly think Cry and Arc'teryx and everybody else out there has the best stuff that was available for the generational time, right? And I won't knock it, but we have built something now with human performance in mind. So if you're in a position where you don't do any human performance, shop where you want to shop. Buy the cheaper stuff. Buy the 511. But if you got to get up and run somebody down or save somebody or, I'm telling you to take a look at us. And the proof in the pudding is, we just won LA SWAT selection and they're going to us now. And Cry create, so we're pretty proud of that. And then one of the things we're going to do, and this is the first time we're revealing this, we wanted fair and square 7 uniforms tried out with them. In March, we're doing the presentation, but they'll never buy a uniform again. They are going to wear our uniform for free for life. So
was this an Iron Sights exclusive? Is that what you just dropped?
Exclusive.
I love Iron Sights exclusive.
we have not released that yet, and we want it, and we've known about it, and we've been 4 months because we're having their patches sewn on. We're doing a formal presentation. So in March, we'll become the official uniform of LA SWAT. And we're excited about it because we want it fair and square. And they called us up and they said, we want to make a purchase. I said, I got something else for you. You're the original SWAT team in America. Chief Gates started SWAT. You're not paying for a uniform ever again.
I love that, man. The big takeaway for me in all of that was trust.
Yeah.
Right. And once you violate that at any level, no amount of toothpaste can wash that taste out of somebody's mouth. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah, man, I appreciate that. We're definitely coming back to the fitness part, Bruno. And human performance, one of my favorite topics ever.
Me too, brother.
All right, Jack, what are you doing here, man?
Here at SHOT Show, so again, just like everybody else, like seeing the bros, getting that transfer energy, just like oh man, like I was really excited. I haven't seen these people that, at least there's a few people that think like me, and I get to hang out with them. And then the rest of the time, again, like looking for new gear, looking for new things like that. Like this is probably flash in the pan. This looks cool, but you see it in person, it's not that great. Oh, what's that? That's actually like, are you guys has anybody come to talk to you about this? Like finding those little gold nuggets that kind of everybody's sleeping on. Personally, I would always just kind of come for other people. This year, my old lady and I, we had started our own company, Black Tiger. So we do sell some soft goods that are branded, but we're mainly focusing on media and marketing.
Gotcha.
And things that we can do for people as far as finding people that we can co-align with. And going back to the points of, you'd be surprised how some of these places are in that space.
Oh, I've learned.
That do not share your same values.
Yep.
And just kind of, Sarah was in the motorsports industry for a long time, owned her own motorcycle shop, photography, all the media for that. Obviously what I do what I do, mostly her telling me where to stand, where to go. But it comes down to if you have your things, it's like, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of ads or a lot of things like that where I'm like, okay, the guy's got a helmet on. I can tell he never set up his kit.
Yeah, who thought this was a good idea?
Why doesn't he have ear pro on?
Who
and
thought
then
this
it's
was a good
because instead of just focusing on the one thing that they're trying to sell you, because we are who we are, we're looking at all that other stuff. I'm like, I would never stand in a threshold like that. Why is they gonna doing that? This dude, I'm not messing with these people. They're obviously, and you get hung up on that. So I can help with those things as far as what I can add to it. And just on the tip for that, I understand what it's like being here sober. My first SHOT Show, thankfully I was sober. I've been sober almost 11 years. And I know what it's like. I know what it's like walking through, because you see it, when you've had those problems, you see it in other people, and people always ask all the time, I'm like, look, man, it just stopped being fun, and I was getting in my own way. And then as you kind of go through this sea of people, they just kind of glow.
Yep.
And you're just like, it ain't a good time for that dude no more. It ain't been a good time for that dude for a while, and he don't know how to get off the ride.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see it come like that.
Which is one of our shirts is, Sarah's brother Craig passed away. He had been a Ranger, and his first MOS was 11 Bravo. So out of that grief that she had is one of the reasons why we started Black Tiger. And one of the shirts that we had, that we still have, it's the Be All You Can Be, with a little 11B in there. And proceeds of that we donate to Warrior's Heart. And that's for guys, if guys don't know, if you're in the trades, as I say, military, police, things like that, if that's a place that you need to go to, because, I know what it's like being in recovery, and you're sitting there in the rooms and you're like, man, this is a little tough crowd. Everybody's got a lot of harsh opinions, and it's, hell, I arrested that guy. Okay. Awkward. I don't know if I'm going to be sharing this week. It's a little hard. So to use the proper term of a safe space, that is a safe space for dudes to go. And we just were able to give a little bit back, because if we can do that and just put information and things like that, is putting it out there and give back. That's what we want to do.
It's actually an awesome segue, man, right into kind of how this all came together. Because this whole thing, the whole reason the six of us are sitting in a room right now is to give back, right? And to kind of touch on a few points and come full circle with some of the topics that have already been brought up, but get into some things and hopefully leave some people with some different perspectives, maybe how to think about things a little bit differently, and go forth and be better, right? More specifically, be good dudes. So last but certainly not least, Chris, I'll turn it back over to you here, man. And just it's been a big year for Good Dude Concepts.
Yes, it has.
2025 was really big. How is this year different than it was last year for you?
I'll say SHOT Show is definitely different when you have an agenda of trying to build a brand and a business, coming and just kind of seeing the dudes and hanging out. But now it's meetings and dinner meetings and linking up and trying to basically keep the momentum that we built over the last year in the right direction. And learning to be a business owner is like a new language. And thank God I've got amazing partners that are taking great care of me and educating me along the way. But it's also, like everybody has also said, hanging out with the guys, meeting people. I'm walking around with one of my teammates, Franco, all week, and there's random dudes coming up like, hey, you're that good dude guy. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you. And they're telling me stories about how they use the BRB and they're training with it, and that helped them in certain circumstances and gave them the capability. And I love hearing that, because it's the whole reason I brought this to market is give guys the ability to solve problems in a different way that they probably didn't have before. So, and then it's also, we're going to be teasing some prototypes and new products that we're releasing this year. So the trusted circle of good dudes go get to see it and give us some feedback, because we always want it before we bring it to market and go to testing and all that other stuff. So it's exciting and a lot of anxiety, because you're representing a brand. And like I said, I could just be a degenerate and no one would know who I am 2 or 3 years ago at SHOT Show. But this year, like, if I do something stupid at Circle Bar, like, oh, that's not a good dude. So you always want to, represent yourself and your family and everything well, but now representing a brand just feels a little bit different, a little weird. I'm not used to it. Gives me imposter syndrome like crazy.
Man, I was just going to say that. Like, fighting this, like, urge of, like, this imposter syndrome, walking around going, like, I feel like a dick when I'm trying to represent myself.
Let me tell you something. When was it the first time you ever pulled this out and showed it to me? And I'm talking about the BRB.
Not your wiener. Sorry.
I thought I was the only one. I feel so dirty now.
Timestamped. So, I mean,
we were at TTPOA.
TTPOA. So, I mean, my big thing is that I had actually met Chris before. I'd actually run some training with our organization. He was one of the law enforcement officers we put through training and hosted us in the city of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County. He pulled that thing out, and I'm one of those guys that, like, man, like, for a 1 pound item at $100, not everybody's a breacher. Not everybody's carrying a hoolie or a charge. This is fucking genius. And then I saw what it did to safety glass. I saw what it did to every different type of application I could think of. What did I tell you? I have one in my car door of my car. I mean, this to me is like Mando equipment. So you showed it to me and I'm like, I got you. And we brought him under our wing with us and have been pumping this. I don't make one of these, but it damn sure looks good with our stuff.
Yeah, it certainly does.
But to me, again, it's a lot easier for me to tell somebody every operator needs this than it is for me to say every operator needs a set of quad tubes at this cost.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, hats off to you, man. I think you're cranking.
1,000%.
You know what's really cool is the original prototype that he made at home with a Dremel tool.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys would have seen that, I'm sure Franco saw it. Maybe he saw it. Yeah. Dude, that thing was so cool. And he brought it one day. It was probably a training day that I saw it. And it's this mangled piece of metal. It looks like crap. But he was like, it kind of proves the point. And I was like, it does prove the point. Like, it was really cool.
Can I say something about that? Like, when your buddies have an idea and they're working on something, they got lightning in a bottle. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you don't understand it, but it's just, I'm sure it's the same in the military world. You know for a fact it's the same in the police world. There's sometimes your people ain't your people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they will hate on you for just trying to do something and make something and shit on it. And like, you just, if anybody's out there, whatever camera I need to look at, like, shake all that off and just stay in tune with your star. Stay in tune with your star number one player, and like keep going with that, because again, like, dude, I can't wait to send you the videos when I use these operationally. Like, and then, like you said, it's like you might not be a capital B breacher, but you can be a lowercase breacher with that. Yeah. And for the size and weight and where I can shove that in my kit, in a pocket, anything like that, it's borderline negligent now. Yeah. To not take that with you.
What's been amazing is it started out with, like, SWAT teams got most of the attention. We're getting purchase requests for 20, 30, 40s here and there, or sometimes even 5s. And then one guy will use it and it'll be on body camera and it'll circulate that whole region. And then those 1s and 2s that go to orders are now turning into 100, 500, or 1,000 that we're starting to go. So it's building great growth, but the proof is, like, kind of in the pudding. And I'm never going to really chase down the body cameras because I'm not going to, like, have the time to do that. And I know there's rules and all this stuff, but with that little, like, I don't know, that catalyst of one guy doing it, saving somebody's life, and then it spreads like wildfire, has been a really cool experience to, like, just see and hear about. I get DMs every day of somebody using it or seeing somebody else use it. Like, hey, how do I get one? When are they back in stock? Et cetera, et cetera. And it's just, the growth has been amazing, and I cannot have done it without the help of one of my partners and everybody at this circle right now. So it's been such a blessing to be surrounded by good dudes. And like you said, like, friends just supporting the product. Like, half my team's pretty much bought one, didn't ask for a discount code. They just want to be supportive, like, stuff like that. Like, I encourage everybody, just buy a t-shirt or buy the product or tag them on Instagram. Like just every little bit helps.
Yeah, it's all helpful.
I want to jump on something you said. So if you're running a business that's doing well and you see something like this, you have to remember where you started. You have to remember where you started the business. And I'll give you an example. At our booth this year, we've got Good Dude Concepts and we've got Sub-Second gun belts. These are both, former SWAT officer, former Green Beret that came up with an idea. They're building a product in America, and both of what they build is fucking awesome, and it's all we run. I'm like, how can I promote this for them? I'm like, I got an idea. Get in my booth. You can't get in the shot. If you do, you're going to be in the bowels.
Yeah, right.
You're going to be, anybody knows when you try and get in shot year one where you're at, you're getting no traffic. So we're going to put him with us. We're going to put Jeff and Sub-Second with us. And we actually are going to partner brand with you and tell everybody about this thing because that's how much I believe in it. You have the same obligation 3 years from now when you have your own booth to identify that young guy that's got the cool thing and put him in your booth.
100%.
And help him out. And that's what good dudes do.
Yes.
So
Here's what I love about this community. He made a tool that is incredible. He's helped design a uniform that is incredible. Jeff at Sub-Second has made the best belt I've ever worn and ever will wear in my life. Now, how they supported each other, just like he said, he made this tool. Jeff made the best product to stow away this tool on your belt behind your gun. I've seen them all. Everybody has tried to send me the one on the kit. Everybody's tried to send me that. We're not always wearing a plate carrier 24/7. Sure, if I have a plate carrier, I will have one on. But guess what? I will also have a secondary one here. But to be able to take that and Jeff support him and say, I'm going to come up with something that will support him. Everybody wants it on their belt, and it should be on your belt.
Everybody wins.
So Jeff supports him, and Bruno sees this and says, wow, I have a great uniform. I have a good contact. Your tool looks great on his belt. His belt looks good on my stuff. And Bruno says, we're all going to support each other on the biggest platform in the world.
Yep.
That's what I love about this community. Bruno could say, no, I wanted the booth to myself. Hey, man, you go up all the way up to the Raptors.
I don't want to diminish my brand.
Yeah, to keep your friends close and your enemies closer
but
kind of
it's
thing.
like, dude, he's using the booth to help support two growing businesses that are also supporting each other, which are also supporting him. It's like this weird African circle of life.
So here's what it is, right? It's when
it's awesome.
Like a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah. There you go.
Right. So something I say
It's way better than my African circle of thing. But I dig it, dude.
Both are true.
I like drums and clicks too, but yeah, man, like the way I look at it is like even to today, I do a lot of consulting for different trainers, and I will go and like my friends will be like, hey, I need you to come take this class, tell me how I'm doing. And like, don't hold back. And that's something your true friends are going to do. They're not going to hold back. They're going to tell you the truth. They're going to hurt your feelings a little bit because they want you to get better, right? Just like failure in every other way, right? You go to the gym, you reach muscle failure to a certain extent. You're obviously building some muscle or you're helping yourself. So the same thing goes for like, man, in training, practice, whatever it is, like, man, I'm going to go to failure, figure out how to fix this. There's been times where Chris and I talked, even when I was either teaching his team or I was teaching just out there with him, or he came to a class and he tells me the truth, man. Like, don't hold back. Let me know. So one of the things that I love doing a lot is going out, seeking my friends' classes, sit there, take the class like a student, and dude, this sucked. This was dumb. This was great, but you can say it like this maybe and help out a lot of people. I did it with a lot of in-service for like law enforcement agencies and a lot of instructors that needed help like getting their agency squared away. And that's one of my like favorite things to do.
So what you're saying is I'm 60 years old and I mean, we're going to get to the human performance. I still keep myself where I can run with the 30-year-olds. But my biggest gift today, and I challenge all of you, is mentorship.
Yes.
What you have to do once you own that experience, and 40 years in the soft JSOC community is not gone past me that I owe this community. So it's my job to mentor people in whatever capacity I can. Don't be overbearing in it, but shape them and guide them and say, dude, take a hard left because that's not a good road to go down. And it's something that is lacking out there quite a bit. So if you're in a position where you can take someone like this and be like, hey man, I got an idea. Why don't you come partner with us and get a little bit bigger exposure? And oh, by the way, you don't know. I could be looking at him with this product in 3 years and he could be a bigger company than me. You just don't know. And that is not my angle. My angle is let's get you there, So
I'm going to say something about this that's going to get me some heat because dudes
Send
dudes getting their feelings when I say this. You get this, and like you said, either have one on your kid, have one on your belt. Both worlds, have one on your kid and your belt. If you get this, I guarantee you're going to use it. Now, you've had a tomahawk on your belt for the last 3 years.
How many times you use that?
Don't get rid of it. Looks amazing. The drip is immaculate, but I guarantee you are going to use one of these.
Yeah, there's no
sooner
question.
than later.
There's
Sooner
no
than
question.
later.
I mean, we actually did a video on this for IG because people asked me about it. In my car door, when you open up my Suburban, in my car door is a pistol, a BRB, a really good set of gloves, and a trauma pack.
Sounds like a good Saturday night, man.
I mean, bottom line is, no matter what I roll up on, I'm fucking ready, and that is a tool to me that it's like why I carry a gun. I don't get fucked with. Nobody walks up to. I carry a gun to stop somebody from fucking with somebody else. I carry that to get somebody out of a bind. So
100%.
I think there's a couple things that came up for me, and it was a word that you used earlier, and that was process. And what you guys just walked through was process, right? And there's subjective and objective things within those processes. And I think people want the objective stuff, like give me the answers to the test, tell me what the checklist is, tell me how to be a bigger company than Born Primitive in 3 years, Bruno. Like, what do I have to do? Just point me in the right direction, and I'll do that. But there was all the other stuff that you guys layered in there about the supporting one another, this seeing the opportunity to help somebody else, right? The asking questions, the being truthful and honest, right? Putting people back on the right path is not always the most comfortable thing for either party to do. And I've had my own experiences there, and part of that, again, with the subjective things, is the mentorship. What does that look like, right? Who is that person? Is this the right fit for you? And being very discerning about how you make those choices, which obviously comes up in this room, but I think it's a challenge for people. So it's good to hear guys like you talking about that stuff, because I think it's really easy. I mean, you guys are all very, very successful and very well established in your own rights and the things that you do. And I forget who said it, but maybe it was you, Jack, who said, you have to remember, or maybe it was you, Bruno, sorry. You can't forget where you came from and what that process was like for you. And I think it's really easy for people, two things. One, for people to forget. You already mentioned that. But two, for people from the outside looking in to kind of just see where you are now and not understand that process, right? And the things that you had to go through and who helped you along the way. And every time I sit down, again, going back to the questions that I get, every time I sit down, and that's why I did it today, I'll do it every single time, I'll never forget who helped me along the way. I know exactly when. It's very vivid to me. And any opportunity I get, I will thank, or, publicly, right? Or in private conversation or whatever, hey, this is where I got this. I own none of this. I didn't come up with this on my own. I borrowed this. This was given to me, whatever else. So going back and kind of circling it back, getting into a couple other topics. Part of the podcast for me got very law enforcement heavy, and the Moon, Sun, and Stars just kind of took it there, and I let it happen, right? And I found myself in some really very fortunate positions to be able to have some conversations with people in that community, and firearms brought me into this whole thing, right? It was a need and a compulsion to train, because I felt like I'd been irresponsible in not doing that, and I have a protected Second Amendment right, like as an American, I have guns, right? I've shot guns, but I was in a position in my life where I may have needed to use that thing, and I had to ask myself real fast, like, what the hell am I doing here? Like what's really going to happen? What do I think? What's my perceived ability versus what's really going to happen? So I went out and I started training, and I trained with a lot of law enforcement officers. I had a lot of time on my plate during COVID. I live in California, I own a gym. We were shut down. There was some weird stuff happening on the street. So I went out and I started training and taking courses. And here's what I learned. I learned that not everybody is helping one another, right? And a lot of that training that is going on is being regurgitated information, and it's not very good. And they don't even know. Like the people that are delivering their information didn't even know.
Dunning-Kruger.
Because of the Dunning-Kruger, because it's institutionalized at whatever level, and nobody bothered to ask, like, is what I'm doing good, right? They just assumed that it was an administrative task or whatever that they had to handle, and they went about their way. And I saw some similarities in like the fitness industry and my experience in business to this, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I just recognized, like, hey, I don't know how much I can contribute here, but I just want to give back, because these are the people that are out there on the streets that are helping me where they can. And I was looking at them struggling. They were challenged. But I also recognize there's some people that are doing a really good job. So on that note, just kind of shifting gears, getting into the firearms training space. I'm curious, and I'll hit you with it, Blake, because I know you've been super, involved in this for quite some time. And that is, like, what do you see happening in the firearms training industry, specifically for civilians and law enforcement, that's going well? Like, what are the trends that are happening that you're excited about and positive about?
So I'm starting to see people, especially over the last couple of years, is people wanting to step up and take that role in their community. Civilians want to step up and take that role in their communities to be a protector, whether that be, they're in church, or they're dropping their kid off at school, or they're in the mall. They want to enhance their ability to learn more about the gun, learn more about how to use it. And my challenge is, that's great. I want to teach you how to use your gun. Right? I want to teach you to be comfortable with your gun. And I can teach you to be the greatest shooter that I can teach you. But unless you've really sat down and study your use of force for your state, you will always hesitate before you fire that shot that could keep you alive. Because the first thing that's going to hit your head is, oh my God, I'm going to go to jail. But like North Carolina's 15-401D2. I know that, and I will know that till the day I die. And I know that I have the right to protect myself or a third party from death or immediate bodily harm. So I'm never going to hesitate. But the big thing of civilians is they're hungry.
They want good information.
Man, dude, look at what's going on in our country right now. Like, sure, the idiot who went in front of the crowd and burnt the Quran, he asked for that, okay? But to watch that man be beaten in the street and drugged through the crowd like it's a third world country, things are scary, man.
Yep.
Because guess what? At the end of the day, nobody's coming.
Yep.
During those things. And my fastest response time to an active home invasion was 6 minutes.
That's an eternity.
6 minutes.
Yeah.
What are you doing in that 6 minutes that's going to protect you and your family?
Those are the same questions I was asking myself, which got me in this room, basically.
So what I'm seeing from civilians is they're starting to kind of figure it out a little bit. You're starting to see on the news that these liberal cities are allowing these criminals on the streets to protest, to burn things down, and nobody's coming. Yep. They've made that statement clear. So they're starting to see that it's my obligation as a man and my family to be a protector. Now you go to the LE side, right? Same thing, man. We were doing some stuff last year, and I had 2 young police officers in the course from Texas. And I looked at him, I said, hey, man, what's your penal code for use of deadly force? I'd have to look it up. So you're going to hesitate before you ever pull the trigger, man.
That was the realization I was making as a civilian when I was asking questions, and the disconnect and the gaps that existed there. And I was like, well, what is happening? Like, I was making phone calls to the police outside my business, like, hey, this person's burning this down. This person is selling drugs. This person is harassing or assaulting these people, and people aren't going to jail. And I'm, and again, this is maybe a little naive, right, of me to think, well, that should equal jail. like what I just watched happen there. So I would ask officers, I was like, why aren't they going to jail? And if they could explain to me why not, like I may have been satisfied that, but it was basically it's optics. They're just going to get cited and released. And so at first I was upset, like I was pissed. I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. But then it dawned on me after a little while, like I don't think they actually know.
They don't.
And there's fear and there's hesitation is the word I would use in doing that. And then going back to response times and what happens if I got a call on my worst day, these people are hesitating. Why are they hesitating? So it drove my curiosity to find out more. But to your point, I would agree with you. I know that Americans specifically are looking around, they're going, this isn't too good. And so they're finding ways and they're searching for that. And there can be bad stuff that comes along with that. But I think if you look at it from the positive perspective, the positivity is like they're hungry. They want to be responsible. They want to know what to do. And to you guys' point, you have a responsibility to give that to them. So
along with Blake was saying there, we did a situational awareness video for ladies. And we just did it because we were asked to do it. We did it out in Arizona. And it was using one of my female ambassadors. And we talked about all the telltale signs of walking from a structure, whether it's Target, Walmart, whatever, out to your vehicle and what to look for and how bad things could happen. Then we went to organization and composition of the vehicle, if you're carrying a gun, where it should be, why it's good to be here, there. And then we did one for actual driving, stopping, evading, getting out of situations. It went viral. Mm-hmm. It exploded because the information did not exist. And we were just we weren't selling a product. We weren't doing anything. We were just putting information out that was correct and accurate. And we could not believe the response we got from it. And then we quickly realized is that people out there right now is exactly what you two are saying. It's a very volatile country. And there's a lot of people in my mind that are carrying right now that I don't believe have the will to use their firearm.
You're right.
Which we all know becomes now the threat's firearm, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting time. I every time I walk out the door, I'm carrying, and I'm carrying not for me. I'm carrying for what am I going to have to stop? So.
So you mentioned something there, and just kind of struck me. You mentioned the information wasn't available. So I'm not challenging you with this, but I would ask this question, maybe reframe this. I think the information exists because you have it. So to them, the information is available. It just wasn't accessible to them, and you made it accessible, right? In a way that they could digest and assimilate it in a way that made sense for them. And that is where, like, it's not that the penal code isn't available. Like, it just, and for whatever reasons, it's not accessible to them in their head. Like, as a police officer, that should be there. Like, I have to go look it up. Well, there's probably some things that you shouldn't have to look up, right? That being one of those things. And that constant reminding, like, where does that show up? Like, that should show up in every use of force training. But we should be talking about that, right?
Well, I was going to say, there's a double-edged sword of that, too. It's like, because we do have Google. But then, like what you said, but on the other side of that, we have Google, and that's like part of it where it's like there's this vastness of information, and you could look up
credibility.
You could look up like female self-protection, awareness, this and that, and you're going to get some stuff over here that you don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, and you don't want any of your loved ones to go near, but somehow that comes up, and then what you got over here is what is needed, and then there's also, if you don't know what you don't know, focus in that dial to where it needs to be.
No, you're 100% right. And I think credibility is something else too. Going back to the multicam statement I made, when we did the release, we said that your word is your currency. It's your credibility. Right. And as soon as you, a lot of people, and this is something Blake knows, I'm not a big fan of influencers and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I would rather have a Rachel Otto as an ambassador with 7,000 followers than somebody out of New York with 700,000 followers. I want a credible person that is doing the job and will do the job right. But people track to these people with all the followers, and they believe what they're saying is credible, and it's not always the case. In a lot of cases, it's horrible.
Hold on real quick.
Yep.
Back to the LE side, right? Yeah. I touched on the civilian side, but the law enforcement side needs to wake up.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, guys, and gals, you need to wake up. When I have civilians who are spending top dollar on just to sign up for the course, and then they're spending money on travel, then they're spending money on ammo, it is your responsibility that you wake up every day to carry a gun and protect your community. It is your responsibility to have that same drive in your soul that these civilians have. They should not have to worry if you're going to come. They shouldn't have to worry if Officer Fatso is going to show up to protect their family. They shouldn't have to worry that. This is a job, and if we don't start taking this serious, cops are just going to continue to get murdered all the time because you didn't take it serious. Sure, it's an honorable thing, right? It's not a hard thing really to become a cop. But dude, if you're going to put a gun and badge on and you're going to go out there and swear that life or death, you're going to protect somebody that you don't know, at least give it your best chance by giving yourself the ability to go to the range, go to the gym, eat cleaner, take things more serious. I couldn't tell you how many freaking free classes that I've offered.
I think it's going to be a common theme in here.
And it's like...
Well, it is a common theme. The one thing I get bashed on the most from my podcast is fat and fitness shaming law enforcement, first responders, and military, and I'll never come off that platform. This is one thing I'm struggling with as a brand. The highest waist size I make in tactical pants is 40. Okay. And I'm expecting the guy wearing a 40 to be that size.
Yep.
Okay.
They're gonna look like Curse.
But I get department buys where they're coming in and they're like, I need a 46 30 inseam. And they're like, and if you don't make that, you're not getting this huge buy. We're like, pass. Who is operating at the 46 waist, 30 inseam? I'm sorry, we're a human performance brand.
You're not performing if you're that. You're not performing anything.
I bet they can perform at eating.
Yeah.
If you are obese in this job, it's not if you're going to die.
Yep.
It's when are you going to die?
Yeah, you're on the clock regardless.
But it's not just about that either. It's who are you screwing over publicly, right? Like your world and the people around you because you're such a liability.
Bingo.
Right? And that irks the balls out of me, man.
How many dudes do you know? You might not be friends with them. You're probably not friends with them, but your old place, how many dudes you know that you're just like, if they didn't make them carry a gun, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's just a very uncomfortable thing that I put on my side. It's like, hey, dog, you work night shift. Yeah. How come you ain't got a light on your pistol? This is 2026 now. How is this not mandatory? Well, I work day shift. You don't go inside dark buildings? Yeah. Of course. Actually, you probably don't.
Yeah.
How many guys got bullets in all their magazines? They're required to have.
Yeah.
Hey, I've had that where it's like, they've got the spare magazine, but the spare magazine doesn't have any bullets in it because they were required to have a spare magazine and they never specified having bullets in it.
Well, this is a senior leadership thing. If you look around our nation today, look at what the common police chief looks like, demographic. And my point being there is I was sitting in Chicago with the superintendent, which is the highest chief of Chicago PD, and the deputy chiefs and the SWAT commanders walked out, and he looked at me and goes, Bruno, if I didn't have to have SWAT guys, I wouldn't. I'm told I have to have them. I'm like, in Chicago?
Okay.
You need the 82nd, brother. I mean, this is more people die in Chicago every year than die in combat. I mean, so
such a disconnect, man.
Yeah. It's
DEI hires.
These leaderships have completely forgot what it's like to be a cop.
Yep.
And it's almost to the point where, think of it like this. I do think that there needs to be a time limit when guys are in certain units. You know, when I was in the gang unit, I probably was ending my little expiration there.
You stayed a little long. Stayed too
Turning
long.
into cowboys, ripping people out of windows, chasing people in unmarked cars with no lights and sirens, chasing the dope, chasing the adrenaline. And it's like, it's almost at the point where there should be some sort of like policy for leadership that if you start getting fat, we take you out of this position. If you start getting to the point where, dude, I had a police chief that was issued a Glock, but wore Smith & Wesson magazines because they were metal.
I shouldn't be laughing, but seems to be a common theme, actually.
But it's like, dude, what are we doing?
I mean, I'll jump in real quick. I think it was something you said when we were doing red dot classes years ago, where you asked a bunch of cops, like, hey, how many of y'all are gun people? Nobody really raised their hand, except for like a couple. Like, are you paid to carry a gun? You should give a shit enough to, you know how to use your equipment. And it gets to a level where guys just, the job is not creating a standard that they have to uphold. And it's to the point where, like, we teach the recruits before they start the FTO, the Field Training Officer Program. I'd harp on them saying things like, all right, if your mom, wife, dad, grandma is in a church or a Publix or a grocery store and there's an active shooter, who do you hope shows up? The fat guy who can't get out of his car, or the dude who goes to the gym, goes to the range, takes classes, goes to train combatives, and he's like, I wish a motherfucker would, versus the guy who's probably going to be hiding in the bushes.
Well, there's two types of men on this earth. And you can come in our trade, or you can come in just general population. One guy runs from gunfire, one guy runs to gunfire.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, there's no other type of man. They either freaking run from it or they run to it. It's just like when we used to screen new guys coming in the unit, I used to ask them when they would come in, I'd be like, hey, if I walk up to you and punch you in the face, what's your action? There's two answers. I'm going to fucking knock you out, Bruno, or I'm going to stand there and cry. You know, and it's there's two types of men, and you don't know until you put that man in a stressful situation what you have. No matter what he tells you, I'm going to run to the gunfire. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
We've all seen it, right? So it's one of those where, to your point, they have to be challenged enough to know which type of man you have. And then there needs to be a standard for, if you're going to be in this organization, you're going to pass X. And that means on the range, that means in the fucking fitness test and all of that. Probably psychological battery now today too, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have a useful person. If you don't have that useful person, they need to go somewhere else and do something else.
Yeah. So something I got out of the military that I think that you probably received too. You probably got it too. Even yourself, shaming the dude that's not squared away will eventually either get him squared away or get him the fuck out of there.
Or have him move on.
Yeah, and it absolutely works. So if we brought bullying back, I think it would help a lot of people.
The downside is, just like most businesses, agencies are run like a corporation.
Yep.
So HR department, unions, like I've been trying to get a fitness test at our agency, and with the carrot mentality instead of the stick, like, here, if you pass a fitness test, we'll fight for 20 extra hours of vacation or something. And it keeps getting shot down. And like, you start pulling guys, hey, you can't go work overtime and details, you're on light duty because you can't pass a fitness test, I'm filing a grievance. So although unions are good for protecting us, they're also protecting the shitheads.
Well, yeah.
And then the people who claim to HR, like, I'll still openly fat shame somebody. I'm waiting to get written up for it eventually for a fat shaming a recruit. But at some point, like, what's the limit? Like, it's got to give.
I think it's a really good question, because I think, like, I like to look at numbers. Like, I like numbers. I looking at, like, so if we put everybody on the scale of 1 to 100%, right? I think there is a very, very small population. So going back to your flow chart there, there's those that are going to run to it and those are going to run away from it. I think if you looked at the ones that are running to it, those are probably the larger percentage of those people are also going to the gym, right? Going to to train, you know, with their firearms, doing their combatives work, you know, to eating healthy, doing most of the right things. And I would never ask for perfect. I think perfect is the enemy of good. Now, at the same time, like, I might strive a little differently for myself, but I don't expect that of everybody else, because I know what the realities of that are. However, I think you're going to see that versus that other 50 or versus that other percentage of people that's running away or would run away. They're probably also the same people that aren't doing the things that they need to be doing. Yeah. And so to your point about shaming, like, what is the harm in getting after that group of people with, look, there has to be a carrot and stick. There has to be consequence, man.
I know. So my employer would like to do something like that. Obviously, they can't for certain reasons.
Yeah, but what are the reasons?
You are discrimination.
Okay. I'm just putting. I know what the reasons are.
For whatever the 5-6 metrics of discrimination that the federal government prescribes. And if I sat there, I could probably, you know, play that game too. Yep, sure, I could do that. One of the things that they did do was with our health insurance, we get bennies through the health insurance. You sign up for the app. You know, we work out every day. We do this every day. I go do my little healthy screen, wellness screen, this, that. Hellness.
It's a different thing.
Start putting all those like things into the app. At the end of the year, and this is very minor, but like at the end of the year, like you get a gift card. Guys are getting like free iPads out of this. Guys are getting this. So why did they get that? It's like, well, they were a little bit healthier and they saved us a little bit more money because they weren't carrying around an extra 100 pounds. Apparently that makes a difference in health and wellness.
Shocking.
It's crazy how that works. His blood pressure went down. Like, we had a guy win an award for losing so much weight and getting healthier. He saved his own life.
I can already hear what's going on in Bruno's head right now. He's like, if we have to give iPads to get people to go to the gym, what are we even doing? Am I wrong?
Hey man, sometimes you got to do it though.
You're not.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I bet those guys that are getting those iPads were going to do it anyways.
I want to go to something John said, the bullying thing, whatever you want to call it.
Encouragement.
Hey. Good hard debriefs, taking people out and giving them corrective training, whatever you want to call it. But I can tell you, I come from a community that we didn't have people stay around long if they didn't fit. And that was the blessing of being in the community I was in the military. We ran shitbags out. We ran them out quick.
Yeah, the culture it corrects itself.
But I'll tell you this, is that I myself am not, nobody's fucking perfect. And what I loved about that culture is that night I'm off and I'm not fucking right where I'm supposed to be, I'm subject to that same debrief process. And man, I'll tell you right now, like if you're the guy that runs to the gunfire, you don't sit there and lick your nuts and be like, oh my God, they're so mean to me. You're like, I need to get fucking better. I need to be better. And you wake up and you're at the range for the next week hard. You're whatever you didn't do great, you become the best guy in the room at it. You know,
I had
you may get a little old lady that'll humble you.
Yeah, I used to be a hard hat diver, and so like the deeper you go, the more money you get paid. I was on one job, and my buddy Stan was getting these deep dives. My other buddy was getting these deep dives. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but the supervisor was a friend named Rusty, and I said like, hey man, what's with these guys getting these bottom pops and these deep dives? And he's like, they have another gear. I need you to get the other gear. I need you to find your other gear, and then we're going to talk about that. It was simple as that.
Did it work?
And
There you go.
I found that gear because I want to make that money because I'm not out here for fun. Yeah. And then it's just like the other things, like your previous organization. Did you guys have a recruiting problem?
No, people were standing in line.
Everybody's fighting.
You guys
for the
never
seat at
had
the
a
table.
recruiting problem. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying for people listening at home that might want to understand how this would separate and be. There's a recruiting problem. I mean, you're seeing some of these places like they're graduating like 2 guys out of the academy, like major metropolitan areas where it's like they used to be graduating like 400 dudes.
Yeah, there used to be 1,000 people applying for 2 spots. Now you're getting 2 people for 1,000.
And it's like
some of that's the blowback, and having been a guy that's never been in law enforcement, some of that's the blowback of our last administration and of really making it hard to be a law enforcement officer. Especially, I hate to do this, but be a white male law enforcement officer in today's day and age.
It's okay, buddy.
Mine now.
But they made it so unpopular that I'm going to tell you, my youngest son, Shane, applied for Nashville Fire and Nashville PD, and I called him up. I said, not a good time to be a cop right now, kid. You go look at something else. Go do something else. Like you're like me. You're gonna end up in a bind because you're gonna be your real self, and that's not what they want right now.
Going back to the thing of like 6-minute response time. Why didn't that guy do that? It's because he wasn't really worried about confronting that dude. He wasn't worried about the physical danger.
He enjoyed the 6-minute response time. Maybe it'll be over by the time I get there.
No. It's like they're going to, if I go be the police right now,
he's going to get his ass chewed.
Somebody's going to do me something for it.
I gotcha.
And they're going to do everything about it. And they are more, and I think you see a lot of critical incidents that have happened throughout the country. I know you look at them. I know you look at them. I know you've seen them. And there's that hesitation, just like you mentioned. They're more worried about the back end, about their administration doing them something for having done something.
So somebody said something to me once, and he was a 30-year SWAT man, and really good dude. And I won't say his name just in case he doesn't get any flack. But he said, when I was giving him shit, because I was like, man, why do departments train their people better, right? Education's huge. Education is a huge part of this problem, right? Why don't they educate them better? Why don't they help them? Why don't they send them to training? Why don't they make them really good, right? Like, our old organizations made us fuck good. Why? Because they want us to succeed, and they support our success or us succeeding. He said it is less expensive to do a funeral for a cop, right, and give him the whole parade than it is to pay out for all the insurance and BS for killing somebody of whatever race because somebody did their fucking job the right way and killed somebody that should have been fucking
Well, it's like
shot.
you're talking
That's
about
gross.
Chicago. So
That's
you're
gross.
talking about Chicago saying, like, if I didn't need these guys, if they didn't tell me on paper that I need these guys, I would do without them, because unfortunately in many of these organizations, mine's not that way, but many of these organizations, it is having a specialized unit where they're not doing cover and patrol, they're not doing this, or maybe they do, but they have that specialized unit of a bunch of motivated people that is usually going to be counteracting like the culture of the larger organization. It's almost like the antithesis. And so like they're just not going to jive.
Well,
And
they're
it's like
even
you
trying
said,
to
it's
take
like-
their
and then
manhood
when-
away right now.
And then when they do that, the numbers of it, like that, dude, that's like the plot of RoboCop, bro. Literally, it's cheaper to pay for this funeral and then this monthly payout on this thing than a wrongful death or anything else like that. And then the training.
That falls on the cop too, because if you're going to sit back and you're going to use that as an excuse, like they're going to burn me, like, because my last thing I ever did with our department, it was about a week after George Floyd, and we were watching a house, and the gang unit pretty much been told, hey, we're not pulling cars right now, we're not getting involved in this, and I saw a dude that I knew for a fact.
Right.
That had murder warrants, and he was a runner. The first thing I did is I saw him and I said, I might lose my job over this, but I'm gonna be the police because I'm not doing this for money. I can go work at Lowe's and make more money at Lowe's than I am as a cop. I pulled that dude over and walked up to the car. His name was I don't want to miss his name, but I knew who he was before anything. His carotid arteries coming out of his neck. He's profusely sweating. I see the bag on the ground. I get laser focused on the bag and miss the gun in between the seat and the dash. And I have him turn his car off, put his keys up, and I'm like, hey man, it's a window tint stop. I'm going to Chipotle, flavor of the month, new chief. So like I go back to the car, I'm like, hey, I got so-and-so in the car, like I need some people here. And my phone's ringing. They're like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, hey man, like with you or without you, come on. And they're like, oh, we're on the way. And I go back up to the car and I'm like, hey man, like I need to step out of the vehicle. And he looks at me and he's like, why? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I'm like, hey, I just got in trouble that morning for being too aggressive, for telling people to get the F out the car. So I'm like, hey, sir, would you please step out of the vehicle for me? I got my body camera on. I'm like, oh, that sounded professional. This is going to go good.
He's looking down like hell
soundtrack.
Yeah. So I watch him, and he's trying to throw his car and drive, but his keys are on the dash. He's not remembering that. He's processing flee or kill him. Which one am I wanting to do? Right now, I'm going to try to flee first. So open up the door. He shuts it, open it back up. And as I open the door up, he reaches down. I missed the gun because I got focused on the bag. And he swings the gun up. Luckily, it had an RMR with suppressor night sights on it. So they're taller and sharper. And it hits his Dodge Charger leather steering wheel. And I was able to grab it. Now, I actually have...
By the distance of a front sight.
Yeah, that's the front sight post here where I was holding on to it. And I had it pinned. I was beating him with mags. And I'm leaning up against him. And man, it's probably only a minute and a half. Dude, this kid's 6'4", 200-some pounds. The difference is I'm doing this for adrenaline. He's fighting for his life.
Yep.
And I'm holding on to it. Dude, I broke 2 Terran tactical base pads over his head. Nothing. I'm left-handed. I couldn't get to my gun. I remember pressing my head in his neck. And the whole time I'm sitting there, and this goes back to leadership, I'm thinking, they're gonna fry.
I'm in so much trouble right now.
They're gonna. I'm gonna have to. So my plan was this. I didn't
taking
hear
up bandwidth. You don't
Yep.
need being
I
taken
didn't
up
hear
right
blue
now.
lights and sirens, right? So I don't hear anybody coming. I see neighbors out here with cell phones, not a willing body coming to help me. I'm looking down, my hand's bloody, I'm dripping blood, I'm losing my grip. The only thing that's saving me is my thumb is in the trigger wheel, and I'm holding it back, and he's ripping it, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna suck. You're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna be on CNN. He's black, you're white, but if you just give yourself enough distance, expose your chest, take it to the chest, burn him down. And that was my plan, because I was like, I'm done. I'm going to have to get this gun out as fast as I can and fire that shot. Here it is. This is your Super Bowl. This is life or death for you. And man, Joshua Bass, my partner, came through the passenger side, and a big old country boy just hit him so hard, and we all came out the car. But I had to think about that, right? When I should have reacted, I should have backed out, shot him, and moved and took position. But I was too worried about, man, you're going to get suspended. But I was willing to do that because I have an obligation to my community to protect them. And this known criminal is out here. The most asked question I get on social media is, I just graduated the academy. How do I get proactive? How do I make the gang unit? How do I make the SWAT team? And I'll ask, well, who are you hanging out with right now? I'm hanging out with some people from the academy. Well, what's their goals? They're just excited to go be on patrol. I said, change up who you're hanging out
Get
with.
in a different room.
Mm-hmm. Find new friends.
Who's the guys that have what you want? Who are the guys that you want to be?
I would never have accomplished anything that I did if I didn't change my circle and hang out with Brandon Campbell, Justin Bellinger, Justin Matthews, or Jared Bellinger, Justin Matthews. If I didn't change who my group was, and it was me approaching them in the gym, like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is my goal. Like, because I wanted to do what they did. Now, if I continued to hang out with the people in my academy who were just excited to be a patrol cop, I would have been a patrol cop. But these guys' mindset is what I wanted. And I changed who I hung out with. And I'm telling you, that incident that I did, I knew was going to cost me my job. And it cost me my job. But I went out knowing that I did my job.
Right. What he just said, by virtue of going through quite a few selections to get in quite a few very elite units, the one thing I did very early in my career was separate myself from the people that were pissers and moaners. Oh, this is fucking tough. I don't think I'm going to make it. Get the fuck away from me. I wanted to be with the guys in the room that are like, fucking bring it. I'm going to be number one tomorrow. Like my chest is going to be in front of yours. And separate the pack. And you're saying the same thing. I'm telling you, when you're trying out for a unit, when you're trying to win a tactical games competition, I don't care what it is, if you put your sights on the most elite person there and you try and beat or be that person, you're going to win.
Can you teach people this, though? Can you teach them this, or is this something that you have to have innately?
If you slap them enough, maybe.
Yeah, so this goes back to the shaming part?
Shaming. And
or I think it's partly it's just showing them the right way to do it, right? So you mentioned mentorship earlier. Like they have to have leaders to follow.
Well, what was the saying we used 20 years ago? I'm going to be a meat eater, right? I want to be a fucking meat eater. And what did that mean? It had nothing to do with what's on the table. It had to do with, I want to get out, I want to get after it, I want to be in the top dog. I want to be the guys when I'm not in the room. Guys are like, we need to be doing it the way that guy's doing it. And that's who you need to aspire to be. Can you teach it? I think you can teach it. I think the biggest leadership thing you can ever do is lead by example. Yes. If you're a SWAT commander and you can't pass the fitness test, if you can't get on the fucking range and be in the top 10%, man, watch out. There's a reason you're in that leadership position. Again, soft units, one of the greatest things I just did a podcast with Scott Miller, and Pat McNamara was talking about trying to catch Scott on this 5-mile run that he was running at sub 31 minutes. This is one of the most elite operators out there trying to catch an officer that, in our mind, I should be able to beat this guy, right? But he couldn't. And that was because this guy was leading by example. And he did that all the way through 4 stars. There's no difference in athletes in the locker room, law enforcement officers, first responders. If you set a tone, one of our ambassadors, I was talking about her to some of these guys. She's a female firefighter paramedic, 28 years on the job. I was asking some of the recruits, hey, what do you think about her? Because I wanted to know. And they're like, oh, let me tell you something. If the oxygen bottles are 100 PSI low when Julie comes on shift, you are catching fucking hell. I'm like, that's an ambassador for me. That's the standard bearer. So you exceed the standard, you lead, and that is a form of mentorship. You're out front.
100% agree. Yeah. So, regardless of whether there is, Chris and I have had multiple conversations about this, and that is on the fitness side of things, right? And where's the confusion lie here? Like, there's no confusion that there's a problem. I mean, all you got to do is look at Instagram, right? Or go just, if you go by the donut shop, or whatever, and there's 5 cars parked out front, what are we looking at here? And we've talked about standards. We've talked about finding a fitness standard. What is it? So maybe, again, your environment, there was a standard. It was very clear. You either can or you can't. And there was no maybes. You're close enough. It's not the horseshoe game, right? In law enforcement, it's much different. And I mean, you touched on it because you can only enforce things to so much. So what can you do to motivate people? And I think I've come to the conclusion that nobody's going to agree on this. Like, what should the standard be? How fast should you run that 1.5 miles, right? How many pull-ups do you need to be able to do? How many push-ups do you got to be able to do or whatever? What we do have is a standard that is the metric is so low in 99% of the cases that I've seen that it shouldn't even really be called a standard. So the question I have in all this is like, who sets the standard? And I think you guys already said it. It's guys like you, right? It's the guys that are personally setting a standard for themselves and then leading by example and hoping, right, that those people want to be at the same level and want to be in your group and want to be like you and follow you. But it seems like that number has just dwindled so low. Like there's not a lot for people to chase.
I think it comes down to culture a lot. Yep. And trying to change culture once it's already established is very, very difficult. Because like, I'll use an example of like when you guys come into town, it's Navy SEALs and they're awesome at what they do. Watching them operate at that level, like it's inspiring. It's like, I want to get that good. Something I constantly hear from other teams, I know we've all probably talked about it in some form or fashion, is I'll hear guys talking to their bosses and they'll go see training and all this other stuff, but they'll get the excuse of, oh, we're good enough because we're not Navy SEALs. And I hate that. I know we're not Navy SEALs. I don't give a shit. But striving to be as good at hostage rescue, which is the most important thing we'll probably ever do, active shooter hostage rescue, same. Like, I'm striving to be that good. Is that a bad thing? That's a standard that we should be chasing. Like, why is it a negative thing that we're trying to be that good? Let's nitpick each other to death over the little things so we don't fuck it up on game day.
No, man, you got to be better than the Navy SEALs. And why that is because we do it every single day.
With no off season.
Right.
And when 1 or 2 days of training a month.
So why do we find out, well, man, we're close enough? No, man.
Nope.
We need to be better than them. They're great, but we need to be better because, dude, you could be eating somewhere and that HR call comes out.
Yep.
I don't get to pick and choose in 10 hours what I'm going to.
I got to tell you, as a civilian, like that's the cop that I need showing up, man. Like again, if my mom has to call for hostage rescue, like that's the cop that I want showing up. Like, and I think about it every day, right? And that's why I'm here. Like literally to like, hey, how do we motivate people? How do we give them information? How do we connect them with other people? Find those mentors, find those resources that they can get after. John, you had something you want to say?
Yeah. So if you really think about it, right, like a way that always motivated me was, do I want to be the person that somebody wants to be in a room with fighting bad guys, or do I want to be the one that is, or like imagining myself as the person that I want next to me, right? And that's what I kind of strive for, in even my shooting now, even as a teacher. What kind of teacher do I want to be out on the range teaching other students is the kind of teacher I want. Does that make sense? And if I can try to strive for that, I'll know I'll be better than I expected, or get to the point where I feel like I'm getting closer to where my goals are. The other thing is, like, when you have to say you're good enough for something, that's you admitting that there is better, and you're not willing to exceed to that point. Mm-hmm. You're not willing to achieve it because you're like, it's good enough. good enough is like you know there's more, man.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Like from you saying that.
There's no end game, and that's okay. I call it chasing unicorns. You're never going to catch it, but that's okay. Like I want to be able to do a bill drill in 0.001 second at 25 yards. Never going to happen.
If you go to ground zero on all this, we're talking human performance, we're talking respect, we're talking everything. Ground zero is your physical presence. Okay,
I agree.
If take a look at this round table right here, I'm telling you that 85% of criminals, if you roll up in a police uniform and they took a look at any one of these guys here, they're immediately going to say, you know what, I'm just going to not try this guy. Okay, but if you roll up and you're a bag of shit, and you're a fat guy, and your fucking uniform's all untucked,
You're
and
going to get challenged,
and you look like a slob. I'm going to tell you right now. So first of all, if you pull me over for a traffic ticket and you come up and you're a bag of shit, I'm going to be looking at you like, what the fuck are you doing in a uniform? And I'm a good citizen. I'm not a bad guy.
How about this? You're a good citizen, and you're already going through your Rolodex of whatever your nightmares can hold about how you're going to fold this dude 6 ways from Sunday.
Because I don't respect him.
And then you don't respect him.
Him.
And then you also, you don't have any fear of that person.
No.
And then there's, like you said, it's like, you know, in the cop world, you know how the guys say like, oh, you got to be squared away. So that doesn't mean that I have the 2 gold pens in my pocket and everything's like, I'm going to cut you with my creases and everything, like in my class Bs or class As. But I mean, you could be in your outer carrier, you could be in whatever your flavor is, but also it's like, other dude can be in all that same cool stuff on and look like an absolute bag of laundry.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the squared away. Like when they're saying have that presence being squared away, like it's not always the polished shoes, but it's like, what's your stance?
But it commands respect. It commands respect.
But being a well-rounded, I guess, officer or soldier or whatever the hell you want, whatever your flavor is, gives you the level of confidence when you walk up to have that. Like I'll use an example. One of the guys on our team, Drew, good looking New Yorker, like trains jiu-jitsu all the time. He's been looking for opportunities to use his jiu-jitsu on the street. Nobody wants to fight him. He can't get anybody to like get into a fight with because he's confident. Yeah, he's a good-looking, muscular dude. Nobody's going to want to mess with him.
And you're, that's the next part of it. So your physical presence and then your demeanor. Yeah, you remain professional, you remain spot on. And they know with your eyes, with your delivery, this is somebody not to be fucked with. And I'm telling you, you can either be holding somebody at gunpoint or you can be giving a briefing. That same physical presence and demeanor, everybody there is like, shut up. Do you hear this guy talking? Like this man has the room. This lady has the room. And women can do it too.
Oh, yeah.
Not a problem with it. You guys know all my female ambassadors. They're fucking rock stars. My point being is that's ground zero. Then can you back the play? Will you pull the gun out? Are you fit enough to run this bastard down when you need to? But you need to start at ground zero. And ground zero is standing in front of that mirror and looking at yourself and going, dude, I don't respect myself. Why should anybody else respect me? So
yeah, that intrinsically that has to be the starter. And you're right. The fitness piece. Again, like, what does that mean? And it's weird, to me, it's weird how people define their fitness. It's like, how much do you deadlift? How fast can you run? How far can you run? Like, you're looking at it in silos versus what am I doing to prepare me to do the job that I've signed up for and to help me have longevity in this thing and put me in a position to where when I am uncomfortable, I enjoy it to some extent. And what I mean by that is you mentioned like jiu-jitsu. Like if you show up to jiu-jitsu and you've never done, you're like, yeah, I need to get better with my combatives. And you show up and you are that fat, out of shape cop. Like that's going to be a long, miserable existence for a while, right? Yeah. Versus if you went in with some level of physical fitness at any level for that matter, versus a lot of what we see out there, it wouldn't be that bad. You would make strides and you would be motivated to do that. And then again, going back to the confidence and the presence piece, you would show up differently to everything. And I believe that 100%. And it's gotten so far off the rails. And to your point, I think there's excuses being made. There's being excuses being made by ego, right? There's time, finance, whatever. Like you cannot expect somebody else to do this for you, right? This is not something you in some cases
can't buy it.
You can't buy it, man. Yeah. So somebody shouldn't have to pay you to do this. Like to some extent, that I think agencies are responsible. absolutely responsible for providing a certain level to get people going in the right direction. And after that, you've got to take that ball and run with it. Like
I did that myself.
yeah.
I got up to 270 pounds.
Dang, girl.
And I'm sitting there going like, I'm gonna look at the camera. You fat fuck. That's how I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And then like you get out the shower and you're looking at yourself and you're like, what happened here? And then with helmet, nods, plates, rifle, belt, the cries. Sorry, we'll talk about it. The boots, all that shit. I'm up over 300 pounds.
Yep.
Look like
Your
a
liability to
hippopotamus, man.
yourself.
Yeah, and like how adaptive am I being? How tactical?
Your liability.
Yeah, how tactical am I being? Like when am I going to blow out my knee?
Not just
When
that.
when am I going to do this? When am I doing that? When am I going to like fall off the Bearcat like a fucking piece of shit?
Yeah,
It's just
So with that, Jack, like if you think about it too, the guys that are taking care of themselves, like Drew's a great example, right? Like you look at him, you're like, damn, dude, like he has discipline, right? He looks the part,
Structure.
right?
Yep.
He looks like SWAT man, right? Even though he was in the Navy. and I hope you like that, Drew. And the thing is, like he looks squared away just from appearance, and you know he's going to be doing the best he can with whatever he's doing because he already shows discipline, right off the bat. Like I see him, I'm like, that dude's fucking disciplined because he takes care of himself. Like a slopopotamus obviously doesn't have any discipline, can't hold back or can't, take care of themselves in certain ways.
That's a T-shirt. A slopopotamus doesn't have discipline. That's a T-shirt. I love that.
We'll code brand.
TM. But,
We'll quote you.
please. And so it's one of my favorite terms for that kind of thing. But like, yeah, man, discipline is so huge, and you can see it on a person based off of what they're addicted to, what they're not addicted to, how they take care of themselves, how they treat others. Man, there's so much there, and dude, it's going to bleed into other things too. So, which is
mainly leadership, which you guys have brought up, a lot here. And if you continue to be the slopopotamus, it's just getting by, right? And it's good enough, whatever that happens to be. And then you find these people at a high level of authority that are making decisions, and for whatever reason, they didn't want that accountability for themselves when they were a cop, and now they're in charge of keeping others accountable, and they're not holding them accountable to that because they're not even holding themselves accountable to that. So there's two parts of that. One is they're not holding anybody accountable, or worse, they're trying to, right? Not living that, not being that person to aspire to be. That's super frustrating to me. And I mean, you said it, Bruno, and that is like, look at the majority of police chiefs that we see that are making the news. I know some really good ones that are squared away, right? They're all the things that you just said, right, John? All the things you just said. I know a few, but they're not getting a lot of airtime, right? They're not in the places, it seems, that have the problems. Coincidence? Maybe not, right? The places that have the bigger problems seem to be the folks that are not as squared away. I'm not saying they can't be good at their job. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you expect others to be good at their job, you need to be better at yours, and part of it is showing up. The right
two
way.
things on that. Look at some of the chiefs and sheriffs in Florida and Texas that they're doing the video clips of.
Right.
Yep.
These guys are leaders. They're leaders. They're making a statement. They're backing their officers, and they're not getting fired. It's exactly what you just said. These other people that are making the contrary statements, that are folding, look at the demographics of those cities, and that's why that person got put in charge. And I guarantee you that it was a shift that happened in the regimes that supported that, and now they don't know how to go back.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, but there's something else here that I just want to say. So everybody now does the social media, YouTube, Instagram, and all that shit. I'm 60 years old, folks. There is no pill.
Nope.
There's no fucking bottle that you can drink something. There is nothing out there that gets you where you need to be except for a 4-letter word. It's called work. Yeah, it's work. You have to work. You have to get up every day. SHOT Show. We're talking about I don't go drinking. You know what my day is at SHOT Show? I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning and in the gym because I know once I walk in that booth, I'm not getting in the gym the rest of the day. So I got to have that discipline. So if I go out with you guys and have a couple drinks at night, I'm paying in the morning, but I'm paying in the morning. You got to do work.
Pay rent.
You know what I mean?
The magic you're looking for is in the work you're not doing.
That's right. That's right.
I think that it's interesting hearing you guys talk, because I from the outside looking in, it's frustrating for me. And especially when, like, I've offered this stuff for free. Like, I've offered help, like, come work out for free, use the gym for free. I recognize there might be some things there with, like, you can't actually give it away for free because that could look bad, whatever else. But at the same time, like, I'll offer my help for free. How can I help you? People aren't lining up for this. They're not lining up for it, and that's a thing for me. Like, I don't get that. And we talked about free training, to take them back to the firearms piece. Like, you'll put it out there, and it's the same 10 guys that show up, or 10 people that show up, women or men, whatever, that show up every single time. It's those guys, and for whatever reason, it's not catching on. And with as much as available that's out there, going back to the positive that I see, I think there's a lot of good shifts happening, right? But what I see is a very small percentage of the population in law enforcement, for example, that is actually taking advantage of that. But the places that have, and it started kind of at a slow roll, has like exploded. I mean, you mentioned Texas. Like, I don't think there's another police officers association that offers as much training, quality training at that, than the folks down there. It is insane.
I teach a lot in Texas.
Yeah, and I'm sure you love going down there, but
it's a little dry for me. But
the point is, these guys are to like what Blake said. They're hungry.
Yeah.
Like they want it, right? And there's a little bit of shaming going on down there if you're not doing it, right? You're not going to make those teams. You're not going to get that special assignment, whatever it is.
Surprisingly, it's California, Florida, and Texas. Is where we train all the time.
It's like you were saying, for free, and then trying to get guys to come do that, and it being on the guy, like saying lots of other things we could do to make more money than being the police, right? And how many guys do you know that, like, I would go to that free training on that Saturday, but I got that detail.
I got that other gig.
I got that detail I'm working. I can't,
Well,
I'm just going to go sit in this car for 8 hours, dude.
I stopped doing the free training thing because guys would take the spot and then not even show up.
Yeah.
To the point where you have to show up, and then I'll issue you a refund just so you don't waste a spot that could have gone to somebody else.
You could have given to somebody else, correct.
It's super frustrating. Like, we're doing a thing with Guild Solutions and Shane, and we're sponsoring guys to go to their training, and we're going to hopefully grow and motivate other companies to want to donate some money to train some cops. But you have to, like, for Shane's thing, you got to write a couple paragraphs. Why do you want this training? Why do you think you deserve it? Are you going to bring it back to your agency? You got to do a little bit of homework. You got to earn the right to take a $1,500 class with a bunch of free food and other stuff. Like, the meat eaters are going to put in that work because they're motivated. They may not have the fund or the agency support to do it, but that one guy can bring it back to his agency, and he might be mentoring somebody else. And then that snowball effect slowly starts to happen. So I want to encourage everybody, if you don't think you're a leader, you may not even know somebody's looking up to you, that somebody's chasing your status and something. Just because you're the best on the range in your unit, like, they may be chasing you. Look for that opportunity to be a mentor.
I just had this conversation with a guy who moved into the firearms training unit at his agency, really large agency in Northern California, 2,000 officers. It's a fairly large agency, a lot of funding, a lot of money, and they've been doing things the way they've always done them for a long time until he came in and started making some change. And to your point, and that is you never know until you give it a shot. But it always starts with one person. It's always one person that has that passion and that commitment to, like, look, I know I might be ruffling some feathers when I do this, but, like, I know this is the right thing to do. Going back to Blake's story, like, this is the job that needs to be done. And by the way, in that particular, he's getting paid less doing that because there's not details that he can get on, right? There's no overtime in that, it's like maybe better hours, right? He doesn't have to work, every weekend or, at night or whatever else all the time. He's getting paid less to do it, but he's like, look, I know I have something to give, and I really want to help people get better, and they're out there, and it's one guy, then it turned into two guys. Now it's 3 guys, right? And pretty soon it'll be 4. He's only been there a few months. He's been there 6 or 8 months, and it's completely turning, right? And he's just bringing that energy every single day. But he doesn't know how to be any different than that, right? That's just who he is, right? And to your point, again, it's like you never know, like, the catalyst that you can be, like, until you put yourself out there. And
that positive energy is is actually amazing. Like if you have one guy like that all of a sudden it gets cult-like, where all of a sudden 10 guys are doing it.
It's like a little club within a club.
You're on that train or you're not. And you know, the biggest thing, and this goes back to something I said earlier, you know, I fired an operator overseas once. He was one of our best guys, but he was always bitching, pissing and moaning about other things.
Just cancerous.
And
Bad in the locker room.
This is where we coined the phrase, this bag of gold is too heavy. You know, it's like, this fucking bag of gold is too heavy. Think about it, right? Yep. Well, he was always that way. And I'm like, man, think about where you're at. Think about the mission we're doing. Like this is the place to be. And we fired him. He was gone 6 months and realized that it was what came out of his mouth that was cancerous to our group. We ended up bringing the guy back, and we brought him back as a different human. And he would be the first one to pull somebody aside after that and be like, hey, dude,
enough.
Zip it. You don't know what it's like out there. My point being is if you have the right mindset and the right leadership, it can become something that grows. And then all of a sudden you have people under your wings, and then all of a sudden that becomes the standard. Like people are like, well, that's the way we do business, because you started at grassroots. And I think that you have to be, the problem with this is you have to be it for the long game. So if you're sitting around your squad room or something like that, and every single guy in there is talking about what they're going to do after being a police officer, man, you got a bad culture.
Yeah.
It needs to be, when you're sitting around there, what can we do to make this shit better? You know? So.
Yeah, what you mentioned there, just in terms of delivering that, is a skill. Like leadership is a skill, right? And it has to be practiced, and it only happens in the long game. You don't just show up one day and you're a leader, right? There's effort that has to be put into this, and this is not something that somebody's going to give you. You have to earn it.
There's a difference between having rank and being a leader.
100%.
100%.
Well, the other thing too, it's like a great example is when I first started training with his team. Right. And I showed up, they came to a class, or like a couple of them came to the class.
I know where you're going with this.
And kind of woke them up, right? Like woke up, like one of their second in command. The first thing I said to him, like I called him Gloves, right? Because he was wearing gloves for a handgun class and I didn't know his name yet. And I was like, hey, introduce yourself, Gloves. And he's like, this little shit. Yeah. You could see it in his demeanor. He's like, this little brown kid just called me fucking Gloves. Right? It was super funny, but like, his mind was completely blown away. He went there with like, this red dot shit is stupid, you know, night vision's dumb. And I opened up his mind. After that, what?
We spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
We ordered night vision. Everybody went to red dots.
And I wasn't making money on night vision at the time, right? I didn't even have a business yet for it. It was just about teaching, right? Educating. And then I started coming to like training days with them, and slowly it was really cool because as an outsider I got to see like change happening, and I'm just going there helping them out, nothing, literally not teaching for money at that point. I'm definitely shooting their ammo, lots of it, and but I just show up, help them out, set up some exercises or something, teach them little things, right? Help out the medics, right? Because they're kind of newer to shooting. Help out the new guys because they're always fucked up. And you slowly start to change their culture. And you could tell real quick which ones were really interested in stuff. Because they're going to come and approach you and they're like, ask you questions. And then you help them. And then they're like, oh, but John's always talking to Chris and he's talking to Franco. And he's talking to and then they're going to start asking them questions, and you start spreading the love and like spread the
like a virus.
Yeah,
it's like
pretty
a virus.
Much.
It's a good virus.
It's contagious, and it's really cool to see. Like just as an outsider, over the years of watching their team and how they transformed into like a completely different team at some point.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaway I take from that big time is that somebody from the outside coming in.
Yeah,
don't
be afraid to host an outsider.
Oh man.
It'll cut off that inbreed training. Like you may piss a lot of people off, but where's the lie? If what they're saying is a lie, or is your ego saying that, or is he actually wrong?
And they can't yell at HR because I don't work for them.
The deadliest thing in law enforcement is when you have somebody on your team that's been there for a while that says, this is how it's always been done.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous.
Complacency.
They are so
ego,
scared.
whatever's behind all that.
And then what's it going to take for them to change it? It's usually going to be something real bad.
Blood.
Yeah, somebody else's.
That is the disgusting part about it.
They think that they are the top dog on their team, but they're not, right? And they are so scared to have somebody like him or me come in to say, hey man,
You're fucked up.
It can be done better. Your way's not wrong. It's a little outdated, but it can be done better, and it hurts their feelings. But I come from a team where we had an influx of a bunch of young, new, hungry dudes kind of within the year. I'm talking like 10 dudes. And we were all like
just fresh,
super hungry.
Yep.
And we wanted outside training, and all these older guys didn't. Well, luckily, we have a voting system. So for the first time, we had more younger dudes than older dudes. We started voting dudes off.
So the coming in from the outside, this is the way we've always done it. So we're just going to continue to do it this way. And the cancer that exists, like there can be one person that can completely change the whole game. Like it's a moment, right? It's a person, it's the energies, whatever. It's the same thing the other way.
Yeah.
And that really frustrates me. But going back to the original, like one of the first questions I asked you about, what do I see happening or what do you see happening that's positive, particularly on the law enforcement training side of things? It's what you guys just mentioned. It's people coming in from the outside and agencies starting to open up their eyes and going, because there's a couple things that happen. This is what I recognize as law enforcement. They're always copying one another.
Yeah.
So like good or bad,
very few want to be the first one to be a trailblazer, because then they have the ability to say, well, they're doing it, so it's okay that we do it.
It's almost like there's a renaissance that's been happening maybe in the last year and a half, where you're starting to see more of this happen, right? Where you're bringing in outside instructors and they are influencing, they are encouraging people to be more competitive, to be more fit, and to get into to match shooting, right? Or, like actually know how to use the equipment that they've been issued and things like that, and just hit them from a different perspective. And if you can change one guy at a time, right? Or the best part is if you can change the decision maker's mind, right away, because then it becomes religion and then they just do it, right? But I see that happening. I think it's super positive.
But if you're an outside trainer and you go in there swinging your dangling like you're the best,
Yes.
Listen, nobody cares. Like when I was on our SWAT team, I didn't care what you used to do. I didn't care if you came from a SEAL team or came from SF or came from Ranger. I just did not care.
Yeah.
It's, are you able to tell me the why, and are you able to be humble enough to teach me?
Well, it's what can you do now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing? Everybody just, Instagram is so bad about what we used to do. We used to do this. Nobody cares. What are you doing now?
Please give me the thing that I need from you.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't know what I need, but I need something from you, and just please, dog,
in the
give
last
it to
2
me.
years, you know how many people that we encountered that was like, this is my team. And they stand over there in the corner.
I hear about this quite frequently.
And I'm like, hey, John, look, like, John, this is what I was trying to explain to you. Can you come here and watch this with me? Hey, this is why I'm thinking this might be a better option. I'm not telling him that he's wrong. I'm just saying this might be a better option. What do you think? I'm allowing him to view it, see that it's a better option, give me a little feedback, but he's accepting that it's a better option, and I'm allowing him to feel like he has a little part into the change.
That's a skill.
So just to contrast all this from a different community, it's gold, and I'll tell you why. I'll use two examples. I just did 2 podcasts. One was them. I was talking about Mark Twight. We brought Mark Twight in. If you don't know his background, legend, right?
Legend.
Jim Jones, fucking legend. This guy, when you say if you climbed Everest, he'll tell you the 5 climbs he's made that make Everest look like a fucking cakewalk, okay? I mean, the guy is just amazing. We brought him in pre-Afghanistan, and he changed the way we trained. Then the next thing you know, guys are having to ascend up 12 and 14,000 foot mountains and then fucking do work when they get there. If Mark didn't change the culture of looking like an NFL linebacker camp versus looking like a very, very elite CrossFit athlete, using a terminology of body type, he changed the culture. And when the mission came, everybody performed.
They were ready. Yep.
Combatives in the freaking Army and military Tier 1 units were not that good. Brought in guys like Hoist Gracie, just had him on, changed the way we looked at shit. And then what do? It's no different than when the first Army Special Mission Unit was stood up and they went to LA SWAT and said, in 1977, we just came out of Vietnam. We don't know how to do hostage rescue. You're the only guys doing it. They gave them their SOP and they said, we're going to go a little more fucking lethal. We're going to do things a little bit different. And then the exchange that happened. Then all of a sudden, LA SWAT's learning from this unit. And then Fayetteville is, and you guys are. That's the gold right there, is bringing the outside people in and not being afraid to listen. Now, the one thing I will say is because of Instagram and all this other bullshit, vet the person you're bringing in.
Yeah.
There are some fucking resumes out there. Like, I'll tell you right now, just keeping it within my ranks, there are some former tier 1 operators out there that are fucking psychos and that are bags of shit that I wouldn't put my name on. And everybody in our community knows that, but you guys may not. So you have to vet your source. The best thing I can tell you is if they are someone that was put out of an organization, physically told to leave the organization, that's not a good
problem.
thing.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to touch on one thing, just because it's going to go to what we were talking about. You were saying, like, sometimes there needs to be changes, and you voting people off, doing these things. My boss, my commander, at one point was not the commander. And he was sitting there behind the shoot house with tears in his eyes, looking at the more senior guys, begging them with tears in his eyes, we can be better. And we don't want to be. We're not better. We don't want to be, and we could be. We can be better. And he stuck it out until he was the guy making the decisions. And I'm forever grateful to that dude for that, because it's that thing. Sometimes it's like, this is my shit sandwich right now.
Yep.
And sometimes, like, what part of this shit sandwich is this? A 3-year plan of shit sandwich? Is this a 5-year plan of shit sandwich? And it's just like having to stick it out to where you can be the person, like, because below that was that there was that culture. It's like these dudes, it's like, because the culture starts also from the bottom. A lot of people think culture starts from the top. I can't order you to have culture. But if these two dudes here want to run a certain way, and these dudes like it, and then they want to join, and then they want to join.
You don't need permission for that.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. And it's very freeing once you learn that.
Yeah, the circling all this up to what you just said there, Bruno, and that is vetting people, going out and getting the training, bringing people in that can make change. And I think there's a lot of hungry law enforcement officers out there that want that. You just mentioned it, right? Like the guy you just mentioned there. They want it, and they're not quite sure how to get it. Like they know it can be better, but they're not quite sure how to make it that way.
I'll say the LA community is very bad about communicating with each other.
100%.
Everyone's afraid to call another agency like, hey, you just hosted this instructor. What'd you think? Nobody does that.
Which is my point, why everybody's sitting in this room right now, with regard to getting that information out there and giving people resources, right? And commiserating a little bit, like, a little bit, but also just communicating about the things that do need to change. Here's some ways to go get it. And you just mentioned it, Bruno, like, if you've got questions, like, I know Chris is constantly, if I had a question, I could that's how I met Chris. Like, Chris actually reached out to me. It's a wild story. We don't have to tell it, but he reached out to me, and then there was connections to other people. And so there are people out there that want you to find that change, whatever it happens to be for you. And there are a lot of good people out there doing really great things. Yeah. And unless people are talking about it like this and making themselves available, right? Again, just going to trainings and hanging out, right? To give a little bit.
He still texts me about stuff that he has questions on.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I have a question, I know I can reach out to somebody, and I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to be the white belt today. On anything, whether that's business, whether that's fitness. Like, I've been doing the whole fitness industry thing for 30 years, man. I learn shit every day, every day, from young people, right? From old people, from my clients, right? From, the people, my employees, the people that I work for. I'm constantly looking for, like, hey, what can that person provide me today? And there's people I can go to get those resources. And I think, again, that's the positive thing I see happening. And I think that's the whole reason, like Chris wanted to put this together, was to have these conversations so that people know where to go. Like, they can hear the message in a different way. They may have been having this conversation in their head, and they know what you guys are saying are right, and they're having it confirmed, right? And they're just like, now what's the next step for me? So I think that's what people want. It's like, where do I start? Okay, so I don't want to find myself, standing behind the Connex box or the shoot house crying over this. What do I do? What answers do you have? What kind of words of wisdom can you guys give them beyond from where you've already gone today?
You're good enough can't be for your department. It can't be for your teammates that are to the left and right. It has to be for your wife, your husband, your kids. Because here's the realization. You get shot and killed Friday. They have a memorial service for you on Saturday. They put flowers on your car. They do all the things. Sunday, they bury you. They do the salute. They do we get the whole shebang. Monday morning, before the flowers die on your vehicle, they're swept off. Your desk is clean. Everything is reissued to somebody else. 5 years down the road from now, your old teammates are still walking the halls. And they say, oh man, Blake was a good dude. He was a good cop. Let's fast forward 10 years down the road from now, new recruits. Most of the people you worked with are gone. New recruits walk by your picture and say, oh, that's the guy that died here a couple years ago. And the only people that are mourning you for the rest of their life is your family. They have to live with that forever. To everybody else, you're a dead guy on a wall or gal on a wall. That is it. You're good enough isn't even for you. It's for when you kneel down and you hug your kid in the morning before you leave shift or at night. You're good enough has to be for them, because that is a commitment to them that I'm coming home to you tonight, because that's my good enough. And I challenge people, is that your good enough? Because if it's not, we got to put some work in, because that's a promise. Every time you hug them, that's a promise to them that I'm coming home.
It's pretty sobering.
Yeah. Amen.
Every hour that I've spent in the gym and every moment that I have spent training, I have not regretted. I've not sat there and go like, even when it's like not the best, but you learn something like, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do this. There might be something. Every hour that I've sat in a bar or sitting at home, getting shit-faced or just brain rotting or doing nothing, I've regretted all. Like, I've done both. I'm speaking from the experience of doing both. I've regretted this. I have not regretted doing these proactive things, these positive things.
Not ever one time.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, if you want to invest in yourself in that way, it's going to see dividends, and it's going to make you that better person that you need to be. If not just for yourself, like, who else do you care about? You got to be it for those people. I mean, it's very well said.
Yeah, I'll say something else too. We're talking about physical ability. We're talking about bearing. We're talking about leadership. We're missing a really big hallmark, and that's mindset and ethos. And I think the one thing that I'll say, and I've heard a lot of very senior people say this, so I'm not the originator of this, get into rooms where you're not the smartest people in the room. Mm-hmm. If you're the smartest guy in a room, go find another room, okay? It's one of those where, how do you professionally develop? How do you get better? Don't be the best in every room you're at. Get in a room where you're not the best and sponge it up and learn from that person and people and get better. I'm here to tell you, for what it's worth, this may sound fucking corny, but I've already learned something in this podcast today. Just by some of the reflections some of you guys have said, I've grown and thought about shit I didn't think about. That's what you should be doing, is every time you're in an opportunity to learn. And then how do you apply that learning? How do I take who works under me and works for me and make sure they get it? And I have to deliver it in a message where it's received, where they understand it. So you have to get in the gym, to come off the frickin' bourbon or tequila or beer, whatever, all these things we're talking about, you have to will your mind to want to be that guy, and that's where it starts. So...
Yeah, you have to be the change that you're looking for.
That's right.
Right? Like, you're the only one that can do it. Ain't nobody going to do it for you. And nobody's going to do it for your family.
And I'll say this too. When it gets to longevity, and you start getting more senior, like, nobody wants a broken person that can't think and can't lead. So how do you remain viable? You remain viable by taking the skills you have and have learned and making sure that they're spread and taught out there. Yeah. That's right. Pass it on.
Can't take it with you.
No, you can't.
You can't take it with you.
I believe it.
Going back to what you said about, this goal isn't worth it. I've had to be checked. I'll call myself out again. I've had to be checked off like that. Being hurt. I'm not going to take, there's no pain management that I can't take. That's because I'm not going to risk my sobriety.
Right.
And that pain, you're letting that stuff grind on you. You're not being open with your friends that you're kind of fucked up. And then I need help with something, because those are the 3 hardest words in the English language to say. I need help. And then you're having somebody that you respect to go, hey, man, we love you, but we don't like you.
Yeah. What a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift that is.
You want to talk about like feeling about this, that's something important. Then what do? You shut your fucking mouth, and you make sure the trash is taken out. You make sure this is that.
Get back to work.
You make sure you're squared away, and then you kind of get that currency built back up again.
What's kind of cool is if you think about it, as you get yourself back together, right, or you get yourself squared away, let's say, just to encompass all the things, you are going to slowly become the person that somebody else starts to look at and be like, damn, dude, like, I want to be that. Like, I want to get to that point. And like, think about it. Like, you will create yourself into a mentor by actually doing all the work that other people are trying to figure out how to do. And as you get there, it gets even better. Like, think about the way that your family will look at you, your kids, your nephews, nieces, whatever. Like, everybody's going to look upon you as, like, dang, dude, like, he's got it together. Like, I have siblings that are like, dude, how do I do what you're doing, or how do I get to where you're at? And I'm like, you got to fix you first, right?
There's also, it's like the part like you're describing your friend, where it's just like being able to come back and say like, hey, dog, like, you're being a heat seeker right now, dude. And you're ice skating uphill with all of this. Like, let's just even that out. I'm telling you right now, you know me. Like, I'm telling you right now, we can do this a lot easier. I'm not saying it's any less effort, but we can be way more successful putting all of this energy somewhere else than like doing what we're doing right now. And, you know, sometimes you get those people in your life. Sometimes you're just blessed to have somebody in your life that you can rely on. Some of it's luck, some of it's your work because you pick those people, and some of it you just get it's just divine intervention.
You could also be that person for somebody.
It sounds corny, but it takes a lot of
courage. He said in the beginning.
It takes a lot of courage to do
be that person.
Like, you got to have that, man. Like, you got to have the courage to say something if you're the person that needs to say it, and you got to have courage to take it when somebody's saying it to you. And I think that's really tough for people, going back to the ego piece.
Yeah.
What do you got, Chris?
Be a good dude. It's that simple. And the way I picked up was from all these other communities. Is there's two ways to describe a guy. If I talk about Bruno, anybody in this room, like, hey, Jack, you can tell in the energy in my voice, like, he's a good dude. Like, that's a stamp of approval. That's how you vet an instructor, or you vet somebody who wants to be part of your unit. Like, everybody's fact checking and making phone calls to see if you're worthy of joining this organization. If they say he's a nice guy, that's not a stamp of approval. That's them politely saying, like, I'm not going to call this guy a douchebag, but I wouldn't work with him. Like, you have to look for those little cues, because not everybody does have the courage to be as open. And I encourage people to be that open. I'd rather hurt your feelings than you not talk to me for 6 months, and you come back and be like, hey, sorry, I was the problem. Like, we're good now. Or that relationship may be gone for years, but eventually it'll come back. Same thing with making change in your agency. I've pissed off many, many bosses over time. I've been chewed out before. I'll come back in 2 weeks when you're a little less pissed off and try to bring the change and all these other things. We could talk about this for days, weeks, and months, but don't be afraid to take that leap of, one, being a leader, being the motivating factor of the change, because you don't know where it will lead. And these little baby steps, you'll go from just being a new guy, then you've got a couple years on. Now you're an instructor. Well, maybe you're an assistant TL now. And like you said, he was crying behind the shoot house. Like, okay, he stuck it out, and now he's the positive change. The team is now his responsibility, and he's running the show.
I just want to make sure I didn't want to say it like as a weakness. Like, he's like sitting there like, out of frustration. How the frustration, of how unenvious I am of just like begging people, I need you to get better, and you're looking at me and you don't want to be better.
Yeah, I guarantee
how
alone
alone he felt in that moment.
There's one of those at some point. Every SWAT team has had that guy, guaranteed, because we're always fighting to push the evolution as fast and aggressive as we can, because we know what's at stake. We want everyone to be good, but we have these roadblocks, and sometimes they're intangible, sometimes they're obvious, sometimes they're not. It's all eggs to crack. But if you're not trying, like, what's the fucking point? Like, at the end of the day, cops get paid, especially SWAT guys. I get paid a good amount of money. I'm very happy, great lifestyle, to do cool shit with my friends. I'll do this shit for free if I could. Like, I love my job. Why people don't have that same mentality, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. We're wired different. I don't get it. Maybe, like you said, there's two types of people, but you got to do something. It's just being a guy who shows up from 9 to 5, not giving a fuck. Like, what a way to go through life.
Well, there's one word, and I know about out of time here, but are you a professional law enforcement officer? Are you a professional soldier? That word professional implies you're all in all the time, and that money is not everything to you. Satisfaction. And I'll tell you, there's probably not a guy here sitting at this room. Like, I tell you, my best job offer was not to go work for Born Primitive. In terms of finance.
Yeah.
But in terms of satisfaction, be able to create something from the ground up and partner with guys that I know it's out there and create, I was like, I'm going to take a swing at this. This is right up my alley. So are you a professional? And a professional walks in the fucking room and brings the best they have, makes everybody in that room elevate their game to you.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is just on that good dude thing. I think when I hear people say that a lot, actually, oh, he's a good dude, and whatever voice inflection they use, and however you describe that there in terms of the energy that you used in saying it. If you hear somebody say that, the thing that I would say, and this is what I pick up, and it's who is the dude that's saying another guy is a good dude or another person is a good dude, and you have to think about that. Like, how are they using that term? And you nailed it. I think in it, everybody, said their piece today about it, but like, do they have the presence to even, I guess, have the is there integrity in what they're saying, right? Is this person the professional when they walk into the room? Do they do the things? Are they the person that's fit? Are they ready for the job? Are they positive? Are they calling themselves out on their own bullshit, right? Are they calling other people out on their own bullshit and helping them find solutions to their problems and things like that, versus looking out for their own self-interests and thinking that that's the right thing to say to, I don't know, achieve some type of social currency or status or whatever else. And you mentioned it, man, that social media thing is man, she's an evil bitch. It's crazy, how many people prop people up and think that they're good dudes, and they're not, and they're saying these things about other people, and they're partnering. You can see it, and it's almost like, for me, this was the interesting thing for me coming into this whole thing and kind of navigating it all and trying to understand the communities. Like, I've never done what you guys have done. I'm never gonna, right? And I'm not trying to be that way. But what I did recognize, there were some really common threads, and and those common threads were the things that you guys have outlined, and so that was really easy for me to pick up, and you could smell the bullshit like real quick. And I think people have a tough time kind of smelling it. So again, like, putting people in the room like this to just kind of like, hey, we're putting it all out on the table. This is no bullshit. And again, back to my statement before, like, when people ask me, hey man, is that dude the same dude in person as he is online? And the answer to that, obviously, in this circle is absolutely they are, and you should listen, and you should sit back, and wherever you are, if you're listening to this in your car, you're sitting, you're getting it done while you're doing your workout or whatever it is that you're doing. There's a lot of gold nuggets. I think that was the term you used. There's a lot of nuggets in this, and I don't think anybody here would expect you to apply them all like right now. Right? That would be impossible, right? But find where the big rocks are that you need to move, right? And focus on that thing, because it all ties in with one another, right? If it's the fitness thing, dude, get yourself moving, right? Get yourself moving. There's no one solution for everybody, but there's, going back to the other thing that you said, there's also no magic bullet. So there's hard work, and that's what it is, and you're going to need to commit yourself to doing that. If it's being better with the, behind the trigger and behind your gun, then get out there, save some money, right? Like, sock a little money away, be very careful and very discerning about who you're choosing, right? And go out and try and seek that stuff. But more than that, again, to your point, Bruno, is like, how can I now take what I've learned through that investment of time and money and energy and whatever that I made, and bring it back to other people and give it back to other people and spread the word about the person that you got it from, right? And that's how this stuff continues to perpetuate, and it turns into a really positive, super positive virus. Anyway, that's just my take. I think that, in closing up, Chris, I don't know if you have anything else to say here, but
no, I just want to really quick thank everybody for being part of this. I hope we're going to probably try and do some more throughout the year, maybe at TTPOA or OTOA, some of the other conferences. I love getting good dudes in the same room to talk about this stuff. How do we make the industry better? How do we make our communities better? Whether we inspire somebody from this, I hope we do. But if not, like, everybody here, I guarantee you, response to DMs or questions. If you run into us at SHOT Show, whatever, like, come say hi, pick our brains. Like, nobody's going to be shy. Like, we'll make time for you. Eventually somebody will get back to you. So be a good dude and keep fighting that fight of like, use this as a catalyst of making change in your agency or even your personal life if you're a civilian. It doesn't matter. I hope that people enjoyed this, and I hope we do it again soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yes, sir.
Can I close this out with a prayer?
Be my guest.
Yeah. Father, thank you, Lord, for allowing us, most importantly, for getting here safe. Thank you for allowing these men into my life, especially Uncle Bruno. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to use this podcast, God, to reach others who need it. But more importantly, thank you for your son, Jesus, as all he wants from us is our love and our faith. I pray that we have a great week at SHOT Show. I pray that we impact others who need it. And I pray, God, that you use us to glorify you in any way possible. We do that in your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
That was outstanding.
Yeah, that's a good podcast. Really good. You guys are trying.